Digimodify. Podcast activate.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 67 of Lost in Translationmon. I'm May.
And I'm Jax.
This week we watched Juri's Quest.
Or Juri's partner, my Leomon Sama?
Is that what's really cool?
That's what mine is.
Oh, I was using the Digimon Wiki one as always. The second episode we're watching is called The Boar Wars.
Or Vicarilamon appears. Protect our town.
And we also watched A World Apart.
Or Digimon Mass Sortie. Go against the wind.
For DigiNews this week, we got some news about a Digimon event that's going to be in Japan in September, but it starts just after we leave, so we miss out on it.
Good.
There's also a free-to-play Atmon game on the Japanese eShop in September, but I don't think I'll be able to access that because region locking, and I'm not sure how the region locking works. And there's also an anime loot crate with Digimon Tri items, and
also known as Digimon Tritoms.
But this is ending probably soon after this episode is being released. It also includes Danganronpa, Persona, and Fruits Basket stuff. So that's pretty keen. And Persona, you love Persona.
I really love Persona. I love Persona so much.
I bought one, so when it arrives, I'll do an unboxing. But I might also be in Japan when it arrives, so it'll be after Japan, presumably. And we also saw Vmon and Daisuke and Dakado and Gilmon figures fully coloured shown, and that was pretty cool.
Boo.
And the Gilmon one's really cute. I'll probably be trying to get both of them.
Smaller boos.
Depending on how funds go, I want both. For Lost in NewsLatelymon, for this episode that we're currently recording, we'll be covering episode 22 and 23 together as one episode. We'll be covering 21 individually, as its own episode. So we'll be covering 21, and then we'll be covering 22 and 23 this episode.
Because they're basically one big episode.
And just a bit of, I stuffed up at the end of the last episode. I said that the third episode that we're watching this week was episode 24 instead of 23, so that was my mistake. Episode 24 will be covering, along with 25, after we get back from Japan, in episode 69.
Solid.
The first episode that we're going to be watching this week is called Juri's Quest, or Juri's Partner? The Leomon Way. What do you think will happen in this episode?
So, these three episodes, I think all of them have really difficult titles to work with, especially considering that none of them seem to flow out of what we've just been watching. So, I guess Juri gets a partner, and it's Leomon, which is sad because it's going to die.
And how do you know? How would you think that?
That it's going to die?
Yeah.
Because they've always died.
Only in Adventure.
Multiple times.
Yeah, but just in Adventure.
Well, they haven't shown up in this one yet. But in every season, Leomon's died.
What, out of the 2 seasons we've seen?
Yes.
Well, 3 if you count Try as a season.
And that movie we saw.
Spoilers.
He always dies!
Yeah, Leomon is not safe, but maybe it's different in Tamers.
I doubt it. I feel like you've told me that this is a running joke.
It can be wrong. I could be lying.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
I don't think there's going to have a very good explanation as to why she's getting a partner this late in the game. One thing about Juri is that she doesn't really buy into any of the Digimon stuff. The kids, as we've seen them at the moment, 2 of them got their Digimon because they were playing the card game and their slashy things that calculate life points or whatever. They turned into the D-Powers, and with Jen, at least he had the video game on his computer. She hasn't had either of those, so there's no way for it to convert in, for her to get a blue card, any of that stuff to happen. At which point, I feel like the explanation is going to be really bad.
Do you think it'll be a good episode?
I think Juri's interesting, as an individual. I think her puppet gimmick makes no sense, but beyond that, she is fairly interesting. So yeah, I do think it'll be pretty good.
Do you think we'd get any further partners, as in chosen children, or do you think Juri will be the last one?
As I said last time, I think Kazu will probably get one eventually. Not Kenta though, what a dork.
If Juri does become a tamer, what colour do you think her D-Arc's going to be?
Yellow.
Yellow? Why yellow?
I don't know, it just feels right.
Okay.
Why would you ask me? I don't know what the colours mean. I didn't know that the red and blue ones had any significance until recently.
Well, I mean, they sort of don't in 02, considering blue is Davis and Yoli has red.
Random.
Yeah. What rating do you think you'll give it?
I gave it 7.
So that's still like a pretty high rating.
I said yes to
Yeah.
liking it.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised.
But it's like...
I think I will like this episode. I give it a 2.
No, I mean, like, I'm just saying, compared to, like, the last few episodes, like, we've actually watched, you've been quite negative, so the fact that you...
Yes, my 8 and 9 predictions, those were negatives.
No, I mean, like, when we actually watched them and you give it, like, a 6.
And that's why I'm undershooting now.
Though they're still a 10, 02
Yeah, that's
ratings,
true.
yeah.
It's really gross.
The second episode that we're watching is called The Boar Wars, or Leomon Appears, Protect Our Town. What do you think will happen this episode?
So I think Leomon is going to be like the pig one of the Zodiac, of the Davis. I'm pretty sure there's a pig one. You're the pig. That exists.
Boar.
You're the boar. That's it. Anyway.
Hence the Boar Wars?
Yeah. And I think that's a reference specifically because it's English to the Boar War.
Yeah.
So there's no... My first instinct would be, there's probably going to be 2 boars and then there'll be another partner, but it's not. It's just a reference to a real thing that happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that this Digimon will appear. I've written Pokemon by accident in my summary on the thing. But I think it'll appear, and then rather than trying to kill the kids, I think that it will specifically focus on busting up Tokyo, a la classic kaiju movies. And at first, everyone's going to be running around being scared, and then Takado's going to give a rousing speech about how everyone has to protect the town, and they're going to be like, yes, and they're going to do like bucket chains of water, and they're going to put out fires and rescue people, and it'll all be very nice and unified.
Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
I think it'll be filler, and I don't want that.
Oh no.
I'm so sick of the Devas. They're uninteresting.
Do you think it'll be a good episode?
I think I'm going to be bored, so not really.
What rating will you give it?
Like a really low 6.
A low 6 or a 5?
No. That's your thing. I know, like a 5 means it's going to be like bad, but I think I'm going to be bored. There's a difference. Like, if it was a bad episode, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make any sense, there's a lot of stuff that's a huge waste of time. I just think I'm not going to enjoy it very much.
The third episode that we're watching this week is called A World Apart, or Digimon Mass Sortie Go Against the Wind. What do you think will happen this episode?
So I want to be pretty clear right now that I'm pretty sure both these names together are completely meaningless. The only thing I could put together is that this might be pretty strongly related to the second episode we're watching. And if so, considering it's a discussion of, destruction of the town or some such in the previous one, assuming that that's not solved entirely in the previous episode, it would make sense if A, the boar Digimon did like a hurricane thing, that's why they have to protect the town, and like B, they they have to go and fight it because they have to come up with some kind of strategy, to solve that problem. I don't know if that's the case, but otherwise this is pretty meaningless. The only other thing I can say is A World Apart would imply that the kids find out about the digital world, that it exists, and that it's somewhere that they can go. So in the next episode they can go to it, because I already know the name of the next episode, because it may screw it up.
Yeah. Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
It's something that I'm going to say next week because, the next episode, because it's going to be the same, is that it's really weird for them to be finding out so late about the digital world because they've had Digimon for ages now, and we know that at least Renamon knows the digital world exists because she talks about it with the bull, with the Minotaur man, and they just never bring it up to the kids who should probably know about that.
Do you think it'll be a good episode?
I don't really know. I'm going to go with yes, because I'm optimistic.
You're too optimistic about this show now. I'm worried now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, not that it gets bad, I'm just worried that, you seem to be so optimistic now.
Okay.
What rating do you think you'll give it?
Now, if it's by itself, and there's no relation to the second episode, I'm thinking it deserves a 5 for being unclear. But otherwise, if it is related, go with the 7, I guess. Maybe it gets better, because they talk about plot stuff.
Alright, well, I guess we'll find out. On to the show.
Let's go.
Juri's quest, or Juri's partner, the Leomon way, starts with Juri walking around and then she's going to go get some bread, and we get a really weird low angle of Juri, but it's kind of like artistic and it's fine.
I can't tell if she's going to the bakery just because it's the bakery and she's getting bread, or if she's like there as a cover to see Takado.
It could be both, but she sure does get some bread.
What's up with the interaction she has with Takado's dad? Which is is Takado here? But it was all dashes between the words, the way she was saying.
She
was
says
weird.
it in syllables in the Japanese version.
And he responds in the same kind of way,
yeah,
and I don't really
cute.
get it.
It's cute, but I think it's more of a sort of shyness thing. But the dad replies in the same style. In the original, they talk a bit more because you can't see their mouths while she's getting the bread. So she talks about how the bread always smells good. And then Takado's dad says he's not here at the moment. It's different from the one syllable at a time. But Juri still says it sort of nervously.
Is the Takado here?
Is the Takado here?
No, he is not.
Kazu and Kenta then carry Juri off. Why not?
It's a bit weird. They kind of rock around the corner and they're like, "Hey, you looking for Takado? That's right, we're gonna kidnap you." Whee! And she's like, "No, I really don't want to go with you. You huge losers."
We see that Yamaki is getting Janyu's dad and friends to solve Shibumi's work and find the base code of the Digimon. In the dub, they're working on trying to decrypt Shibumi's code, but it's not really said why or what they're doing.
In the Japanese, the line is so funny. It is, "Hurry up and bring me digital monsters."
Me too.
Although I realized that Yamaki, this is in Japanese too, whereas I felt like Yamaki was much more like normal and like reasonable.
Oh yeah,
in the earlier ones.
He's much more reasonable.
No, in this one, he's pushy again, and he is now like he was in the English in the previous episode.
Yeah, well, I think it's because he wanted to appear reasonable to get them to do work for him, but now he's just back to normal. Because we have seen him previously in the original be quite rude to people he works with and quite unreasonable.
He was fooling them.
Yeah, but in the dub, he's just always been pretty hostile.
He's really crazy in these episodes as well.
Yeah.
Like, he's always been a little bit nuts, but, like, this is the most unreasonable he gets.
Yeah. When Jerry's being dragged off by Kazu and Kenta, she says that she doesn't want her bread to be a mess.
No, bread.
In the dub, she doesn't want her cream puffs to be squished. No, you're squishing my cream puffs!
That's a weird sentence.
No,
it's a hugely weird phrase.
It is a very weird phrase.
But basically, Kazu and Kenta drag her along to sneak up and just kind of, like, watch the Tamers as they talk in, like, the little mausoleum thing. And they're just watching them talk, being really weird. And the kids are talking about the Digimon God and what it might be. And there's a really kind of weird part of the discussion where basically, Jen lays out the idea that he thinks that's what the Devas are, or they serve them in some way. And he's kind of laying out his theory to it. And I can't remember the context anymore. I just remember that it was really different. Was that they have this moment where Terramon says, "No, Jen's usually really nice."
Yeah.
Or Jen's really nice. I don't remember what the context of him saying that was. What I do know is what they replace it with in the English.
Oh yeah.
He says, "It must not be because they're not regular Digimon or something." Guillermo goes, "Am I a regular Digimon?" And Terramon, instead of saying Jen is nice, says, "You're a regular goofball."
Yeah, no, I wrote that down as well. It was, he says that about how Jen doesn't jump to conclusions or something from memory.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Then when Hirokazu and Kenta are watching, they look quite concerned and they don't say anything. But in the dub, they make them think that they say, "Oh, is there going to be a fight? Come on, let's fight!" They want some, like they're bored and they want some action instead of just
I really wish I was a tamer.
Yeah.
God.
Instead of being slightly concerned about, I wonder what they're so serious and intense about.
Then they have a really hilarious discussion, which basically begins with, it's, hey Jerry, if you could have a Digimon, who would you have? I would have Omnimon.
Yep.
And I would have Imperial Dramon. Smart man, by the way.
Yeah.
Wants Imperial Dramon. That's accurate. He is the strongest one of all.
Yeah, no, that's Kenta knows what's up.
And then, in the joke of the show, I'm not sure there's been anything... Oh, no, Terrymon's funnier than this sometimes, but, like, for all the human characters, this is my favourite bit. She's like, "Guys, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even play this card game." There is a second's pause, and then, like... Old Reliable in Yellowstone Park, guys are erupting.
But this is like, but she says it twice. They ask her a question, and then she says, "I don't even play the card game," and then they ask her another question, and she says, "I don't even play the card game."
And then, these cards explode out of her pocket, like they were pressurized. It makes no sense at all.
Though in the dub, the first time that she says that she doesn't even play the card game, in the dub, this is actually her saying that things like that wouldn't ever happen to her, because Kazu and Kenta are talking about how they want to be a tamer, and she says, "Oh, I would never be a tamer. Things like that don't happen to me." So she's got a bit of an inferiority complex, this little girl.
I mean, sort of. It's weird because this episode's really strange for her character.
Yeah.
In that she's wildly all over the place.
I just think she has reasons.
No, like, we'll get there, but she's really all over the place. But yeah, so her pocket explodes with Digimon cards. There are way fewer on the ground than there actually were in the animation, which I think is why it's so funny.
Yeah, because it plays for, like, quite a while. It's quite a long... It's looped animation.
It's not like, oh, you dropped a pile of cards. It's like you have a flamethrower, but instead of fire, it's cards.
Hirokazu kind of awkwardly ignores what just happened. She's
No,
like,
they
oh.
all fully ignore it.
Yeah, they just sort of look and say, oh, okay, that was weird. We're going to move on and ignore that wacky coincidence of comedic brilliance.
Which I think the English writers were very unhappy with, that was how they addressed it. 'Cause in the Japanese, basically, it happens, she looks embarrassed, and they just turn back to the
because
Tamers.
I think because they don't want to draw attention to it, because they don't want to upset her.
Of course.
They are nice.
Yeah. Whereas, like, in the English, because they I think his mouth only moves, like, once while you're still looking at it,
Yeah.
they couldn't put any... And you never cut away from their faces
Yeah.
either, so they couldn't put any extra jokes in there, but you know they wanted to. So the only thing is that, like, I think Kenta says, like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, he says, yeah, sure, you're crazy, you're one strange banana, that's the wording. He says, you're one strange banana. Because I guess that would fit in the mouth movements, I guess.
So we got pineapple heads and bananas now.
I think that Hirokazu and Kazu are different enough, then we should just, like, differentiate
They already
them as
have
two
different names.
I think we should just call him Cuckoo.
Kaku.
Okay, let's get this straight. Hirokazu is nice.
Yeah.
He's helpful, he's a good friend, and he's got tact. Like, he sees this girl who's clearly just embarrassed herself, and he's not going to draw attention to her and make fun of her. Neither is Kenta. And they just sort of look away, and he has already, offered to teach her the card game, even though the next episode he's more interested in trading, but that's understandable. Like, he is also 10, but he's quite nice. But then we have Kazu, who's just, misogynistic and, makes fun of his friends all the time, insults his friends all the time.
It's okay, who's not nice? Any of the kids in English.
Yeah. And it's like, it always goes beyond, like, ribbing someone because they're your friends. They seem harsher. Then they notice that Takado and his friends have left. Then Juri says she's going home, and then Leomon shows up and says, smells great, towards the bread, and then Juri gives him some bread, and it's really, really cute.
It's really, really adorable.
And the weird boy's watching.
I keep calling him Frog Boy, which turns out to be a mistake later.
Yeah.
But that's what he is. And yeah, so she gives Leomon bread. He eats it. It's adorable.
He makes mugu mugu noise. He goes, mugu 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 mugu. It's so cute.
I noticed that was very specific.
It's so cute.
Then she pulls up more bread to eat it, and he's like, I want that one. And she's like, alright. She does that, she eats hers, and then just gives him the whole bag, and he's like, yeah!
Do you get the impression that bread is, like, this really addictive thing for Digimon? Because this is the third time we've seen Digimon just eat so much bread. We've seen Gilmon say, that's not enough, after just, having a little bit, it says, I need more. And we have Impmon who says, nah, it's disgusting, and then puts out his hand for more.
I feel like bread is just really available. I think Digimon like food. We've established that over the course of the time. Digimon like my dogs.
Oh my god, they're like
Is
Miller.
there food? They want it.
But
do you know what's really good? Bread. If you had like a thing of bread right now, I'd probably eat it. It's real good.
Me too. Bread is. We should have some bread after this.
Yeah.
It should be like the food of the podcast.
Is there a bakery that's open at like 10 p.m? Probably not.
No, they open at like 4 in the morning and then close at like 4 p.m.
That sucks. I mean, I guess
So it's bedtime for you.
If you're gonna open at 4 in the morning, fine.
Yeah, because the bread does sell out. And sometimes they just stop making bread. I don't know. It's like that place we used to eat at lunch or at university, which would close at lunchtime.
That was ridiculous.
Why not?
Yeah, we ran out of lunch food. It's 12 o'clock. Yeah, we're out.
Yeah, you'd have like a class that went from 11 to maybe like 12:30 or 10:30 to 11:30 or whatever. So you'd go to the uni bar and then you'd say, I would like a parma. And say, oh, sorry, we just closed our kitchen. I'm like, dude, bro, it's midday.
The lunch rush starts an hour from now. No wonder you closed.
But you can still buy cider.
Oh no, because that doesn't. No one has to prepare that. It just sits in a barrel or whatever.
I know, but it was always weird that you could say that you would say, "Oh, I want this lunch," and you said, "Oh, so when we have the kitchen closed at the moment, but you can still buy alcohol from 7 in the morning until like midnight."
that makes way more sense though. I just think drinks are way more available.
It's strange. They would say you can just skip a meal and just have alcohol instead.
Yeah,
that's such an Aussie thing.
Well, it's weird though because on one hand you're like, okay, again, context is this bar closed down. They did not do very well.
That's because they closed at midday.
So the question, was it did they not do well because they closed at midday before all the people who wanted food could come by? Or is it that, they would have sold twice as much stuff if they just lowered prices by, $2? Or is it that, their entire business plan was to get uni students drunk?
Yeah, because they'd say, for your 8 a.m. lecture, come in here at 7 and get, beers for $1 each.
I should have done that.
You don't even like beer.
I
I
don't.
think it was only beer. I don't think they did for cider. But it was
Oh,
like,
that's lame.
yeah, buy like all this beer for like, $1 and go just rock up at your, 8 a.m. lecture.
Look, if
This
you
is so
if
Australian.
you have an 8 a.m. lecture and you're not smashed, who are you?
I just want to point out that the legal drinking age in Australia is 18.
Yeah, so when you're at university, you can drink.
Yeah, most people. So there's some people who are 16 at university because they might have skipped a grade in primary school.
I like how they're 16 but not 17. There's no 17-year-olds. There are tons of 16 though.
So, like, the majority of people turn 18 in year 12. So that's, like, the last year of high school.
I didn't.
Yeah, but you're weird.
I did not. I was not 17 in university though, which I feel bad about. A friend of mine was because he's born 3 weeks after me.
Yeah, because you're born in February.
Yeah. So I started university like 2 weeks after I turned 18.
Do other countries have that weird thing that, like, if you're born before a certain month, you can start school earlier?
I don't know.
Because, like, I think... Okay, so if you're born before April, you're put in school a year earlier. So Jay is my age, but he was a year ahead of me when we were in university because he started school a year earlier.
Like, I don't actually know how that works.
No, it's April. Well, that's all I know.
No, I'm aware of that as well. But like, I feel like it's.
Or maybe it's March.
I don't know.
Maybe April. I don't know. It's early April, I think.
I guess if you were born in April, I guess pick my thing for example. If you're born in February, right, and you start school when you're if you say you start school when you're I don't know.
You start prep when you're 6.
I need a calendar where I can draw lines.
Yeah, draw lines.
No, it's just because all schools would start at the same time. Like they all start at the same time, which means that anyone who's born earlier in the year would have longer between when they were born and that time.
Yeah, so school starts in January.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it's April.
Because that puts you at like 9 months between your birthday and school starting. Whereas if you're born in December, that doesn't work. You have 1 month. I think? I don't know. This might just be weird Australian school politics that no one gets.
But yeah, so a lot of universities tend to have like bars attached to them because like the majority of people going there will be above 18. So it's pretty common, I'd say, to have like.
I don't know of a
drinking
university
facilities.
that does not have a bar attached to it.
Yeah, well, there's like the ones in the city, but they're usually attached to a
Melbourne
shopping
has.
centre anyway. I mean, like RMIT, I know.
Okay.
But that's opposite like a bar anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our university had a bar. It did not do well because it was really expensive.
It was badly
and
run.
The lunch place closed at 12.
I actually struggle to imagine how that place did badly because you had so many people passing through it. I feel like the reason a restaurant generally will close is because no one goes in. But everyone went into this place.
Yeah, everyone.
Their costs based on supply and demand were terrible.
And also, the time they were closed was weird.
Yeah, that too. It was badly run.
They had really nice, like, cheesy garlic bread. That was amazing.
I do miss it.
Yeah.
But I don't go there
Yeah,
anymore.
you didn't even go there anymore. You finished. You're done.
Well, no, I could go in. I'm still a student, technically.
No, we could just go to a pub, right?
I'm still a student, even though, like, the actual... of weekdays I could go in, there is Friday, and there is Monday, and there is Wednesday, Thursday, and that's, like, it for the rest of my life. I can do weekends, but I don't feel like it.
I remember when I used to be a university student. So long ago. Anyway, Digimon. Juri then wonders about if her and Leomon are partners, and then says, "We're good friends, yeah?" In the dub, it's beautiful. It's this beautiful moment because Jerry says,
Leomon, good food. You like me? I like your food. I like you too.
What a dick.
"Me too." No, I relate to Leomon.
I like food. That's that why you like me, because I cook?
Yes. Well, Leomon doesn't say, "No, I don't like you," or "Yes, I do like you." He just says, "I like your food."
Yeah, that's accurate.
Which is kind of heartbreaking for Juri. And then Juri, like, just claims that she's now Leomon's tamer. Then Leomon falls over. And Juri sounds a bit like Ruki and says, "Oh, that's not what a partner should do." And, like, she says about how a partner should, be happy to be with their tamer.
It's really weird out of nowhere because she was kind of, like, shy before, and now that she's in this position of vague power, she's actually being really horrible.
No, I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like she's seen Ruki. And because, they're both girls, she thinks, is that how a tamer has to act?
I don't know, I feel like she's actively guilting Leomon, which even Ruki would never do. Ruki wouldn't guilt Renamon into doing it.
In the dub, I feel like, she's saying, "Oh, it's not that terrible," is that she's guilting him. But I think in the original, it's more like, she sounds a lot like how Ruki used to be, like, "Oh, that's not what a partner should do."
But she was never around for any of that.
I know,
She
but,
only
like,
saw the last bit where they're friends.
I know, maybe like she
So
heard
that's
about
impossible. It's an interesting theory, but impossible.
it all. And then the mouse Daver shows up, and it's an orb. There's a large amount of
I
these.
thought it was a rabbit.
There's
It looks like a
No,
rabbit.
it looks like a mouse.
It looks like a rabbit.
It also says chew,
I didn't think about that.
which is
Also,
the...
does it have a tail? Because I didn't even notice.
Yes.
If it had a tail, maybe I would have thought about it.
It has a tail and also lots of legs.
Well, bunnies have that many legs too. Also, it has the chicken's like weird staff thing on its back.
Yeah, it's also an orb, so it does look like the chicken.
Why are they the
What
same?
what came first, the chicken or the mouse?
What came first, the orb or the other orb?
Juri then says, maybe you're my partner. And then the mouse says, I am a servant of God. Why would I want to join forces with you?
And she's like, I don't think you're my partner.
And no, the wording is, Juri says, what a relief. I don't want such a horrible Digimon as you anyway.
Fair enough.
In the dub says, oh, that's good. You're too bizarre. Can't tell if you're a spider, a ball, or a nutcracker.
So it's neither of those, apparently. I didn't know that. So it begins to chase them, because of course it does. It has no effective way of hitting them for some reason, though. It just wants to run after them. They run through a fountain, and it chases after them, and then it gets totally messed up by the fountain. It, like, steps in one of the water spouts.
But a bit before that, Juri asks Leomon why he doesn't fight, and Leomon says, because I don't like fighting, which is fair enough.
It's not.
In the dub, Jerry asks him what kind of Digimon doesn't fight and protect their tamer, and Leomon says, the cuddly cute kind who gets cramped when he eats too much.
Aww.
It's really cute.
It's cute. It's a bit much to say when you're running for your life, but it's cute.
Also, when they're both tired, Leomon's ears are really long, but for some reason it looks like Terriermon.
I don't think so.
I know, they've got the same length ears.
mean, a
it
little
reminds
bit.
me of Terriermon a little bit.
It's proportional.
They're related, that's where his sass comes from.
Okay, so he gets messed up by the fountain, and the mouse, I guess, goes flying, at which point the fountain makes a rainbow, because of course it does, out of which Leomon is standing.
Yay!
Which begs some interesting questions, including, A, what's he doing here? Which is never answered. Spoilers, it is never answered what he is actually doing there, if he has any goals. Second, if he's a good Digimon without a partner, which we establish,
Yeah.
is it possible that a lot of the murders that were taking place, like especially that probably Renamon did, might have been more morally questionable than you would otherwise have thought?
Well,
Also,
yeah.
What's the difference between a digital field and a digital rainbow? Was Leomon there when Growlmon had to devolve? Was he just sitting on top of the rainbow but we couldn't see because the rainbow was in the way? Because it's obviously solid. You can stand on it.
To answer your question about...
Also, why is Genai young?
That has nothing to do with this. I'm so upset with you. Anyway, so what I'm thinking is the ones that wanted to load the data are evil, but we saw Flare Lizardmon. Dark Lizardmon.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah?
Leomon was standing on the rainbow and said, I'm here to load the data... Oh, sorry, no, we don't know why he's here. He's there to load the data of Digimon stronger than him. That's his quote.
Yeah.
So, you must be wrong.
No, just let me finish. The Digimon that we saw that wanted to live there but was still maybe evil, maybe not, was Dark Lizardmon, because I remember she screamed, I want to stay here!
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so some Digimon might just want to be there, and that's a good question. Were some of the ones that Renamon was hunting good Digimon that just wanted to chill out in the real world? But no, in the dub, Leomon doesn't say that he's there to load the data of those who are stronger than him. He says that a true warrior wouldn't pick on little girls and only fight those who are strong.
How does he know what a little girl is? The fact that it always weirds me out when Digimon show up in the real world or see a human for the first time and just don't think they're other Digimon they've never seen before.
Well, my theory is maybe Leomon's been there for a while.
He's standing on a rainbow. He just materialized.
I just thought he was just hanging out.
I was like, he just arrived.
Oh, okay. Hello, friends. I'm here.
I have arrived.
In the original, I'm pretty sure Leomon has the same voice as the previous seasons. In the dub, he doesn't, and it's upsetting because he's got this, like, western cowboy kind of voice.
Hey, baby, I'm here. That's Edamon.
Yeah, I don't know why you give it... Every time you try to do a Digimon's voice, you go Edamon for some reason.
It's Hanu. No, wait, hold on. No, I can't do it.
You can't do it. Anyway.
It's Hanu. Damn it, that's hard.
Anyway, so Juri looks at her card, and she says, it's Leomon. He must be my partner.
Which, she didn't have to, like, shuffle through a deck or anything. She just whipped it out. That's
It's magic.
amazing.
She just came out of her pocket again.
Actually, no, I know why she knows. there's a line in the next episode, I think, where she's like, oh, they're alphabetized.
Yeah, that too.
Which, I'll address it right now, is the most accurate, like, new card game player thing I've ever seen in my life.
But that was only in the dub, right?
It is, but it's so, like, either it's a joke that they got completely by accident, or, like, somebody knows.
It's very accurate.
Somebody knows.
Yeah, everyone new to cards always alphabetize their cards. I'm like,
They're organized now. I'm like, that's a mistake.
as soon as you get, like, a sizable collection, you'll just give up. You're just like, okay, it goes in a box now. This is my box.
This is the
the pile I want. This is the pile I don't
The
want.
way I organize magic cards is the pile of approximately what I think is in this pile. So, like, this is, the good for this thing pile, maybe. But there might be stuff that's good for this over there.
Yeah,
And over there.
in the drawer.
But also there and in that box. Maybe. And I keep these just in case.
After Leomon attacks the mouse, Juri calls him Leomon Summer. In the dub, she calls him Mr. Leomon. Then she asks if he's her partner, and then says that I'm your tamer now. In the dub, there's this really weird line where she says, "You have no idea how long I've wanted this." I'm just like 2 days.
Okay, you know what? Every line she says when she speaks to him is weird, because it does the pink floaty backgrounds of, like, love.
Yeah.
You have to keep in mind that she is, like, a 10-year-old girl,
Yep.
and he is, like, what I would have to guess is a 7 or 8 foot weird, like,
Yep.
abs lion.
Yep.
There is nothing in her mind that could be connecting him and her with that facial expression that wouldn't end up with someone dying.
Like, and also in the original, there's all this, like, sexy saxophone music.
Yeah, like, it is very much implied that she's in love with him.
Yep.
Which is weird. Really, really weird.
Which is why Takato and Jen think that she's in love with him.
Well, no, Jen theorizes that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they're not wrong. That is definitely the case. Although I thought that the way they went about it was interesting. We'll get to the bit with the phone calls. I love the bit with the phone calls.
No,
That's
it
the
was
best
very
part of
funny.
this episode.
Yeah. And
I was sure, by the way, with the moment she cut to her face being like that, also, like, with the lion on top of the rainbow, I'm like, this is a dream sequence.
Yeah,
and
it does seem a bit like that. No, it's definitely not.
Also, if she thinks that Leomon's her partner, why did she keep... Leomon Summer, which she keeps calling him, is essentially Lord Leomon. Why would she call him that in address someone who you consider a partner on the same level as you, with, like, the supreme respect of someone well above you?
Well, this is back to the Yakuza theory.
What?
Like, her dad's part of the Yakuza.
I wouldn't know.
And maybe, like, it's, like, a formal thing where she's, like, she refers to any strong male as Summer.
I wouldn't know. Like, I don't know if that's the culture.
I don't know. I think, like, from what I know
Does
from
Leomon
the
have
animes...
tattoos?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Can you
You
look
should.
it up?
No.
Okay.
Anyway, so the music in the dub isn't this sexy saxophone music. It's like more of this cutesy, like, sparkles.
That's one of the only music changes I've ever appreciated.
And it actually does a good job of changing the context from, like, trying to basically sexually woo this big lion into it's more like the please sparkle sparkle sound effect than, anything else.
The context of the way Leomon reacts is also really different between the two.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Japanese, he's really serious all the time.
Yeah.
So he's like, "You're crazy, leave me alone." And eventually, like, he begins to try to get away, but mostly he's just, like, really annoyed.
Yeah.
Whereas in the English, he's really nice and reasonable, and he's like, "Okay, this is a bit much for me, I'm gonna go now." In one, he's like, he's just bothered, like, I'm out of here. The other one, he's like, beleaguered. He's like, I can't handle this.
And it's the same, it's especially at the end, but we'll get to that in a bit.
I'm just a giant lion.
Then Leomon and Juri are running around for a while. Leomon hides and grabs Kulamon before Kulamon, like, reveals where he is. Gilmon and Takato show up and wonder why he's holding Calamon and think he's a bad guy.
I hate this bit. It's so annoying. Because Takato's like, "Who are you?" I'm Leomon. I'm gonna fight you. No, I really don't want to fight. I wasn't gonna hurt him at all. No, prepare to fight. And he's like, I mean, if I have to fight, I will, but I really don't want to. He's being so open and he's communicating, and Takato's not listening.
I think it's because, like, he's like, "Oh, you're lying to me. You're holding Calamon. You're just a
But he
just a
let him
Deva."
go immediately.
He's the cat Deva who's back for revenge about not having the year.
The cat Deva who, A, looked different, B, was a higher level than this guy. So, if anything, this is a devolved one, which makes no sense. Oh my god. Also, oh no, they haven't seen the mouse yet.
No, well, Juri has, but
No,
they
he hasn't
haven't yet.
had, I want to talk about the scanning. Because
Just-
it's back, it's back!
Yeah, they should just forget about it.
What is, I don't get this thing.
So Juri introduces him, and Takato goes, "Oh, you're a tamer?" And then, she continues to call him Leomon-sama, and then Takato calls him Leomon-sama. And Leomon outright says, don't call me Leomon-sama. And in the dub, as I said before, Jerry's still calling him Mr. Leomon instead of Leomon-sama.
Takato also does that. And he's like, oh,
Yep.
yeah, Mr. Leomon, sir. And I think that's really interesting, because obviously Sama has some cultural significance, which is more than that. But in the end, the way they use this, in that it wasn't just that became his name, it was the way they sort of formed sentences around it, and the respect that came out of it around it. Sort of broached the cultural divide between what was originally being communicated. I think this is one of the rare times where they took something in the Japanese and they made it the same but different.
Yeah, because you can't really use Sama, but they've used it in the way that it has the same message that it's trying to convey. After Leomon says for Juri to stop calling him Leomon-sama, Juri says that she's not going to stop because she likes calling him Leomon-sama. It's like, oh, that's not very nice. Takato then says he doesn't know what to do, and Gilmon says to ask Jen for advice. In the dub, Gilmon doesn't suggest this, and only says that Juri runs fast, which she does. Like, we see her run very fast. She should be on some sporting team.
This is the funniest part of the episode by a long way. Basically, Leomon's running up and down like this little path in the park, and Juri's running after him, just back and forth. And at the same time, Takato's on a payphone, like calling Jen. Which, I mean, I guess he calls Jen first because earlier in the episode we established that he always thinks things through.
Yep.
And he calls up Jen, and he's just watching them go back and forth, and he's like, hey Jen, I got a question. What would you say about a girl if she was doing this, this, and this?
Yeah.
And he's like, is it possible she's in love? And no, I think he suggests
Or it's
specifically...
first love.
Is it her first love? And then he just, to kind of puts the phone and goes, hey Juri! And she's like, what? Have you ever been in love before? Yeah! In kindergarten! Okay! Is that all? Yeah! And it just goes back to running around. And then my actual favourite part is, which I think that's really funny, but it's, okay, Jen's run out of ideas, but I'll be there anyway, because there's Digimon, right? Hangs up, calls...
No, before that, I just want to say what happens in the dub during the Henry phone call. So, Henry says, how does she know? Like, how can she be so sure that this is her partner? And then Takato says, hang on, one moment. And then says, Jerry, how do you know that Leomon's is your partner?
I love
and
this.
Jerry says, it's because it's my destiny!
I don't think it's just, it's destiny.
Yeah.
It's not my destiny, it is destiny. Oh, I love that, it's so dumb. This scene is also much funnier sped up.
You watched it sped up again?
I did. That's 3 episodes.
That's why you have to, watch them throughout the week, rather
It's
than
really
just the day
funny.
we record.
It wasn't the day we recorded, it was the day
Because
before.
it's my destiny!
Yeah, because the destiny is actually, it's my destiny! I will let you! So then he calls up Ruki, who, in my favourite thing of the episode, because of course she does,
Yeah.
she knows the most about this, just goes, does she have a Digivice? And he's like, oh, I don't know, because if she doesn't have a Digivice,
Yeah.
she's not a tamer. And I'm like, Jen's very emotional, and he's thinking, okay, this is how she's feeling, this is how she's reacting, okay, let's think of it that way. Ruki goes, just cuts down immediately to the bottom of it. Does she have a Digivice? I know the answer. Let's go.
Yeah.
To which, Takato's like, hey, Juri! And she's like, and she just stops again. What? Do you have a Digivice? No? Okay.
Is that all? Yes. Oh no, I really like this scene. But I just want to point out one other difference from the dub, is that when he says he's going to call Ruki, in the dub, he says that he's going to tell Rika. So it's different between, I'm going to ask my friends for advice, to I'm just going to tell them and ask them to come down here to help.
I guess one's more proactive.
Yeah. Also, in the dub, Rika says it's impossible that she's a tamer and that Jerry's delusional. Like, the wording's a lot more harsher.
I mean, that makes sense, though. That's quite in character for her. And honestly, I would agree.
Oh, I just let her.
I would agree, except for the evidence of how it came out of nowhere. Wow, that entire sentence, when you replay it to edit, is going to make no sense.
Yeah. I know that there's a few times that I talk, I'm like, well, that's not going to make any more sense. And future me who's editing will be very upset with me. Kunbiramon has a really stupid voice when he shows up. He's like, I am a diva!
Meh. So, yeah, Takato sees the mouse Digimon, or Dugmon, I think I've written it here. And he tries to scan it, and he sees blank. He goes, boop, and then goes blank again. And then it pops up and it's there.
Yeah.
It happens over the course of about 2 seconds, and you're like, And it doesn't happen to anyone else, right? With Leomon, it was instant. There was no delay. So you know the delay is there because they're Davas, because they established it earlier. But every single one except the first one, the delay has been completely inconsequential. And I don't understand why they're doing it.
I think it's because their data's bigger.
But no, but
They're
it doesn't
taking
matter.
longer time to load.
That's irrelevant. Also, it didn't take longer to load for Groundmon, or Megalo Groundmon.
That's because they were friends. And they're not Dava, they're not Holy Beast Digimon.
No, but they're still the same. They're still Digimon.
I know, but they're not
They're
like
the same amount of
I know,
data.
but they're not holy level. They're not holy level.
There's no holy level. That
Holy
doesn't exist.
Dava. They're Holy Dava types.
So?
I feel like they'd be bigger because, you know, they're arguably stronger.
No, actually, the amount of data they have is based on how big they are, which is why the boar has the most data they've ever seen, and yet the mouse
good
is so
point.
small that Hypnos doesn't even detect it.
He's very small. And the chicken one, they didn't bother, they weren't concerned about, yeah.
Yeah, it would make more... The fact that it took way longer to detect the cat than it did to detect the boar is nonsensical. The boar should have been non-detectable, like, we just can't do it.
Yeah.
In fact, it's chugging our machines. We run out of RAM. We only had 124 megabytes of RAM? 156?
Oh, that's a lot back in those days.
Yeah, no, so like it's super...
Yeah.
I love the idea. I love back in like the 90s when someone's like telling you about their amazing computer, and like they're pushing it even. They're like, it's got 256 megabytes
I
of
can't
RAM.
stand
Oh
to
my
look at
God.
ads for old computers.
There's a Friends episode like that where he's like, yeah, well, look at my new computer.
Oh.
It's got 100 megabytes of storage.
Like the one where when Ross and Rachel, I think. No, it's Chandler and Rachel, but it's their actors, and they're like talking about like Windows 2000 or ME or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the most uncomfortable thing ever. I watched it, but I was not comfortable while doing so.
Was it Windows 98?
I think so.
Yeah, it's got like a 7-inch screen.
Oh no, it was the OS, not the actual hardware.
Yeah, it runs at 3 teraflops. I don't know, that's probably actually quite a lot. I'm trying to think of other things you'd measure. Move along.
In the dub, Leomon is cheering and being a cheerleader, and it's really, really cute. He's saying, yeah, let's go. It's really cute.
He's doing rhymes off the top of his head as well. Like
Which is
little
what he
limericks.
does. He's done it before.
It's kind of annoying.
I love it. Go away.
I don't know, I really preferred when he's just like being like, Coo!
Juri asks for Takado's Digivice, and he obliges. And it doesn't work, so she tries again. And they sure do freeze on her face for a long time, instead of like the custom arm movements that Henry does, like ha ha ha.
Well, only but she didn't practice like Kazu
Yeah,
did.
you always have to practice your card slash.
I don't like that this. I like the idea that she has her own, and it's cute that it's kind of funny, but also it makes no sense at all. Because here's the thing, right?
It would power up Gilmon.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you've read my notes.
No. I was thinking that too.
Yeah, if you grab his Digivice, there's no way this Digivice will affect Leomon.
Yeah.
In much the same way that Jen would never be able to buff Gilmon with his own Digivice.
But Juri doesn't know. Juri doesn't know that that's how it works. She's not really seen them do much.
Wouldn't Takado like explain that?
Oh, Takado's such a nice boy. He's not going to argue.
Or alternatively, it'd be really funny if she did power up Gilmon. He's standing there like, and he starts getting like more things stacked onto him, like the big hammer and the shield, and he starts getting buried under all these cards she's slashing. I think that would be a really funny joke.
You notice who wasn't in this episode? Juri's puppet.
Yeah, that's right. But also, do you know what else was barely in this episode?
What?
Ruki shows up and then immediately leaves.
Yeah, she's not really in this. It's sad, but I guess I can only have one girl per episode.
And I wanted to be like, because she leaves to run after the frog boy, and I was like, okay, so they'll cut back to that in the next episode. Nope, never mentioned again.
Nope.
She just left.
Yeah. He was like, well, this is boring, I'm leaving.
Because she would have solved the problem, I think.
Yeah, I think
Like,
that's why.
Takado is happy enough to stand there and just watch, and Jen is always going to hold Terriermon back unless things get desperate, which is what happened. But Renamon would have been like, I'm going to win right now.
Yeah, and so would Ruki. So I guess they sort of had to say, well, we have to make them go somewhere.
At least there's that, right? It's better that that's what happens rather than, like, she stands there being out of character.
Yeah, because we've seen that happen before, and it's just, why isn't Ruki doing something? She's right there. So actually having her go off and do something and just say, oh, maybe she wasn't lucky and she didn't find him, or, you know, the weird boy hopped away somewhere and she lost him and lost track of him or something. Even though, if you think about it, Renamon is really good
Renamon
tracking.
should have caught him the moment she even tried to chase him.
Yeah, but we're not going to think about that because it'll be better than her just standing there.
Okay, I guess the frog boy might have gotten away by saying ma.
Yeah, because that apparently works. To everyone who's ever said ma, they've always freaked out.
Yeah, also, it occurs to me what a great, like, foreshadowing that is, because it's monkey.
Yeah, ma.
That's what monkeys say.
Yeah, ma.
It isn't, though.
It is. in the onomatopoeia for memory, it's ma. Or something along those lines. Juri collapses to the ground when she realizes that she's not Leomon's tamer. Then Terriermon evolves because he has to, because fight, I guess.
Fight her.
In the dub, Henry's wondering what Leomon is doing in the real world if he's not Juri's partner.
That's a good question.
Which is kind of silly, because we've already established as of episode 2, where the title was Digimon, Digimon Everywhere, that there are just Digimon in the real world.
Yeah, that's true.
Not all are partnered to humans. And we've seen when Shagai was being launched and all the Digimon started flying up into the air, like a few episodes ago, there were all these Digimon we hadn't seen, because they were probably just like being harmless and chilling out in the real world.
I like to think they're like Men in Black aliens, where they're all pretending to be people, like wearing long trench coats and just walking around and like working in post offices.
Yeah, the bloke next door might just be 3 Calamons in a trench coat.
My name is Vincent Adult Man.
Leomon gets up and he says he'll fight for Kato-san, and that's kind of cute. Then, after the battle, when he destroys Kunbiramon, Leomon says that he'll go before Kato-san's tears dry, which is like, well, when she stops crying, she'll start clinging to me again, so I'm gonna leave. He's serious. He is saying, look, I don't really care. I mean, like, I don't want her to die, but I don't really want her to... She was annoying.
Also, I should mention this just because of how... Because it's just the way it made me feel, and no one else will have this, but just... I can't take Juri's last name seriously, because... Wait, is Juri her surname?
Juri is her first name.
Oh, yeah, I can't take her surname seriously because it's actually my great-grandmother's first name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Kato is first... Because it turns out that's also a Hungarian first name.
Okay, that's fair.
Did you know? Because I did.
Did you know?
Did you see what's coming? It was World War II. That's why they came to Australia.
Oh. Leomon says that he's, in the dub, that he'll go before her tears make him stay. So it seems more like he cares for her.
He's much softer in that one.
But I prefer him to be serious and like, who is this strange child and why is she following me around? This is annoying. I'm not here to do this. I'm here to fight Digimon who are stronger than me so I can become stronger.
I guess, though, the result 2 episodes later doesn't make any sense then. Whereas, like, if he could be tempted at the end of this, then when it turns out that he is the partner, you could be like, oh, okay, well, there's something there. So, I don't know. I think that what that really says is that the decision to actually make him her partner was terrible.
Well, there is the part where he gets up and he says, "This is, I will fight for her." And that's sort of like, that's slight dedication, but I don't think he realises that they're destined for each other, because, remember, when we first saw Tailmon, she was unsure of Kari, but had this sort of weird feeling.
Barely.
No, but she still had the weird feeling, which I will link to Leomon getting up and saying that he'll fight for her. But he doesn't really want to, and neither did Tailmon until he realised.
Tailmon would never, ever, ever have said, go away.
She wanted to kill her.
No, she was ordered to kill her.
No, she tried to. She had her claw and says, well, orders is orders. And then Kari turns around and says, oh, hello. And then she falls off and she's like, oh, that child. I don't like her. She made me lose my cool. No, I think it's the same sort of thing. They don't realise they're destined, but they still have that sort of... this weird feeling that they have.
Yeah, but that would have manifested in like, oh, he's going to go fight. Then he sees her and he's like, whoa! Not just like, oh, go away, please. I'm going to run away from you now. No, seriously, stop following me. Like, I don't feel like that's how that would have gone. Yeah.
Anyway, so after the fight, when Leomon leaves, Juri asks Takata to leave her alone because he's like touching her and saying, are you okay? And he does.
Well, of course he does.
I know, but he's such a sweetheart. Like, he just says, okay, well, she's upset. I'm gonna, stop touching her and, leave her alone. And everyone sort of leaves.
And then it's just sad and fades out.
No, but before that, in the dub, Juri seems a lot more hysterical instead of just depressed. Like, instead of saying, please leave me alone, Takata, she says, I just want to be alone. Leave me alone.
I wanted a Digimon too.
In the dub, there's this really cute bit with Terriermon says, Momentai, Jerry, Momentai. It's so cute.
Aww.
Juri's sad, and in the dub, she says that she should have known better to think that anything special like this would happen to her, and that she would deserve to have to be a tamer and have a partner.
That's a really awful, message for kids. I feel like this is pretty much saying the word verbatim. This is like saying, I'm not a good enough person to win the lottery.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
No, it is, but yeah. At the end of the episode, Jian Yu discovers a drawing of children playing with something that he calls an arc, and it looks like the Digivice.
Oh, is that why it's called a D-arc?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I guess.
In the dub, he says that they're like the portable devices that they used to have. What do you think of this episode as someone who is new to Digimon?
I don't know. I thought that the jokes, the basic joke of the episode, I thought was really weak because its premise was nonsensical. It's like, I don't know. I feel like it's like you have your sitcom, like any given sitcom, and the joke of this week is that pies are falling out of portals in the sky, and you're like, wait, why are we basing our joke on something that makes no sense whatsoever? And then the crowd is in the background still laughing, and all the characters are treating it like it's really happening, and it's never, ever, ever brought up again.
Yep.
But you're like, no, but the portal, like, they don't address the fact that Leomon came out of a rainbow, right?
Yep.
Then he doesn't want anything to do with her, and then he just walks off at the end. And at the end of the day, I won't say nothing was accomplished. Later on, we're going to find out something was accomplished, i.e. the very basics, which is we learned a little bit about Juri's character, i.e. just like everyone else, she wants a Digimon.
Yep. And
also that, like, Leomon exists. Now, I think that there's something interesting here, which is to say You can foreshadow it that she wants a partner Digimon because she has this puppet, which is like the stand-in for it.
Yep.
But also, alternatively, and probably more interesting, you go into the fact that the puppet exists, and you're like, it has a personality. Either she's nuts and it has thoughts and doesn't want another thing being around, or just like, it's clearly stood for something before Digimon existed, because she didn't know. So, what does it represent? How does she move on from this thing that's inside her head to an actual partner who would challenge her in some way?
Yeah.
I think there's so much interesting story there, and I think the idea that, just like everyone else, I want a Digimon. There's a Digimon, it doesn't matter which one it is, if there's just any one at random, I want that one, right? Just, that's what her story is? I think that's really lame.
Well, presumably it goes deeper into that in the episodes we haven't seen yet.
I honestly don't think it will. This is so I just feel like it's really lazy.
How would you rate this episode?
I don't know, it's like a 6, I guess. It's got some good stuff in it, and it's got some funny moments, and Kulemon's really cute, but the basic premise of it's really weak. So I'm not going to give it a 5, because it wasn't a pain. It wasn't like dreadful to watch, but it did have really horrible like underlying problem.
Well, here's an interesting question. How would this rate if this was a 0-2 episode?
Oh, God.
On the 0-2 scale.
This is like a much better version of that stupid episode with the peeing turtle. Because, like, nothing really happens, and it's mostly just people running around.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean.
But, like, again, at the end of the day, I would have been able to say things were furthered, and also, like, God. I think this is actually quite comparable to the character development you get in 0-2, which is to say almost none.
Yeah, but I liked it. We learn a bit more about, a side character who potentially becomes a main character.
Like, but at the end of the day, what did you learn about Juri, actually?
I learned in the dub she has an inferiority complex. She's quite clingy.
The dub doesn't really count.
She sort of like is embarrassed to admit that she's getting into Digimon.
I think that's funny, but it's also really out of nowhere.
I think it's because she wants to understand Digimon and because she's liking Gilmon so much. Because before this she wasn't into Digimon, and now learning about Gilmon she's into Digimon. So it has a sort of like
that.
She's like, oh, this is kind of cool. So we do learn a bit about Juri. So it's not like no character development. There is some.
But I feel like her character had all these potential for being like really interesting.
Yeah.
And we ended up with like what differentiates her besides her initial reluctance from Kazu. Now, she used to be strong and used to have this puppet and everything, and there was stuff to her, but now her defining characteristic is, I want a Digimon.
I know, but it's in a different way. I feel like if Kazu had a partner, he would be like aggressively into it, but like not.
You mean he would say things like, that's not how you meant to treat a partner?
No, but I feel like he would be better because, he's probably thought about what he's going to do for ages. I feel like he'd be more like...
Prepared?
More prepared and probably a bit more like Takata was.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
I feel like Kenta has less of a character.
Oh, Kenta's nothing. He's a great
He's
brick.
friend. He is friend of character.
He's friendo.
Yeah.
No, but I feel like her character watered down somehow. In the character development episode, I feel like she has less character than she used to. Because she used to be like this strong, interesting character who was a bit weird, but totally okay with it. And in this episode, her weirdness she is ashamed of because of the Digimon cards. How is she more ashamed of owning Digimon cards than she is of having a dog puppet who she talks to people with? which is mysteriously gone.
I gave this episode a 7 because I really enjoyed it. I found it cute. It was fun to watch. I felt like watching it again. It was just such a sweet episode, and we see side characters, and the main characters aren't really a big point of the episode. We see lots of Kazu, Kenta, and Juri, and it's nice, and, you know, it's always nice to know a bit more about the characters that are the side characters, even if one might be becoming a main character.
I don't know, I want to know more about them. I don't want to know more about them than what they're giving us. I feel like what's really impressive about Takano, Jen less, but still with him, and Ruki, is that you can kind of pinpoint what their goals are to an extent, or what they want, or what their concerns are, and you can nail those down pretty accurately, and they're all really different and really interesting. You've got Takano, he's really enthusiastic and he wants to be a really good tamer, but he's really bad at it. So he's really working on that. And he's working together with his partner, and they're going to go together, like, because they're both basically tiny children.
Yep.
Jen's got his Zen, and his Terriermon is like a bomb that he's trying to keep from exploding. I think that's an interesting conflict as well. And we've talked about Ruki a whole lot with, like, her ninja Digimon, who is an adult, and who basically, it's a struggle between them who's actually running the team, or whether they're friends or not. And I feel like, at the end of the day, you look at Juri, and even if you accept the fact that Leomon actually is her partner, what happens there? I don't know. She wanted that lion, so she got him.
Yeah, you know, she set her heart on something, and, you know, she tried to make things work as well with the Digivice, and I found that was kind of cute.
If their relationship is coloured by anything, it is by her weird lust for the lion's abs.
Yeah, no, that's a point. How did this episode compare to what you thought about it in Obnoxious Synopsis?
I said that Jerry would get Leomon. That is technically true, but 2 episodes too early.
Yeah.
But I said she was pining for a partner in the last episode, and she had slightly more presence than a side character should. So she's probably going to end up with a Digivice, and she did.
But just a bit on that. Did you notice that Leomon's finally, like, just suddenly okay?
What do you mean?
Well, like, he was very unwell in the last episode. And
no, he was tired, but this is a different day.
Yeah, he got over it kind of quickly.
He rested up, although Impmon didn't.
But that was also after over a few days he was tired.
He had some bread, don't worry about it.
Okay, the bread helped.
He had
Good
bread.
point.
I said, what would annoy me? I said they would be really badly explain how you get a partner this late in the game, and by God, did they.
By wishing for it, I guess.
I also said that she didn't play any of the Digimon games. That was funny. Like, I like that they kind of introduced that.
Yeah.
And you're right, that's a reasonable justification. Oh, she sold Guilmon, so actually this Digimon thing might be cool. That's reasonable. I still don't think that, like, it was justified the rest of it. Let's see. But I think it'd be good. I said I like the Jerry character. Honestly, I like her less.
No, not Jerry.
I like her less after this episode.
No.
I think the stuff that made her unique started to sort of fall away. And I said they would give it a 7. I don't think that's true. I think you gave it a 6.
And what do you think was the major difference that you noticed? Mine was the music. At the wooing the lion.
Just the implication of what she actually wants. I don't know. There's really small differences, like how they do address the fact that she drops the cards everywhere. But you're right. It's probably mostly that, like, in one she clearly wants to bang Leomon, and the other one she, like, is
trying to convince him to be a partner.
Yeah.
Also, Leomon's behavior and attitude towards Juri shifts from serious, like, maybe caring
really
a little bit. He's not maybe caring a tiny little bit, but not enough, and still saying, I'm going to go before she can, you know, follow me around and chase after me again, which is fair enough. And then he goes to, like, I'm going to stay, I want to go before, like, I feel so bad for her that I have to stay. Like, he cares more for her in the dub. Any other changes?
No, that's really it. There's not a lot. Besides Destiny!
Because it's my destiny! Destiny, I'm your friend! The Boar Wars, or Vicarelamon appears, protect our town, starts with, again, the Matsuda Bakery, same as the last episode. And
sorry, hold on. Yep. I'm sure it's Matsuda, but Matsuda makes it sound just Jewish.
Matza.
Ah, yes, the Matza Bakery, the worst bakery in town.
It only makes matza.
Oh, good.
The matza fairy bread was good.
That's not terrible, but regular fairy bread's bro.
Takata was grabbing lots of bread, and his mum catches him and asks him if he's going to play, and asks him if he's done his homework yet.
So I'm pretty sure, by the way, it's like spare bread or something, but in English, he specifically says, the perfect crime.
Yeah, he's stealing it instead of just like, he's sort of sneaking out of the house to not do homework, basically, in the original, but in this he's sneaking around because he's stealing stuff.
Yay, theft. What a good character.
Yeah, he's basically taking what would be thrown out, presumably.
Yeah, that's what bakeries do.
They throw out bread or give it away, or they sell it cheap at 5 o'clock. And Takato says he'll do his homework later. His mum says that she wants him to study because next year he'll be in 6th grade and then in high school after that. In the dub, she says that before he knows it, he will be in college.
That's a terrible reason to study.
That's a bit of a jump. Like, because you're going to be, in college in, 9 years or whatever.
It's like, you should... I actually can't put that together. Like, you should do this thing today because in 9 years you'll be somewhere else.
Yeah. In the original, he considers it. He seems to be like, should I go in and do... Like, my mum has a good point. Should I go in and study? And then, he says... He thinks to himself, no, there's something else that I have to do because of my responsibility.
Yeah, I feel like that was the original.
Yeah, but in the dub, he doesn't seem to even consider it, and then seems to just be annoyed by her and makes a noise.
He's like, nah, no homework, see you, Mum.
And then when he's out the door, he says, wow, she must have gotten her degree in nagging with a minor in yelling. Which is like kind of it's funny.
Takato just like crosses his arms at the camera, is like, women, am I right?
Yeah.
Then like a brick flies out and hits him in the face.
Haha, women with their nagging. That's all they do, right, boys? Right, guys? Right? Women are the worst.
Hey, fellas.
Isn't marriage terrible?
That's the worst meme of all time.
Then an earthquake happens, and Susie is choking Terriermon. You're like, you gotta admire Terriermon.
Well, I guess if he'll survive getting hit by missiles, I don't think a small child can actually choke him. But yeah, she's hugging him at a bad spot.
Yeah.
Bad touch.
Jen goes to grab Terriermon, but Susie doesn't want to let go because she's scared. And then she also says she doesn't want to be alone because it's boring without Dad being home. In the dub, she doesn't mention being bored. She's just scared. Jen yells at her and she starts crying. Then he says that he's sorry, and Shuchon tells him to take care, which is, when you leave a house, you say, "Ittarashai." I think that's what she says. Maybe? I don't know. And in the dub, instead of, saying take care, Susie says that she wishes Henry wasn't her brother.
She's so awful!
Though, to be fair, Jen does yell at her even when she's scared.
Yeah, no. Like, he does a little bit because he's frustrated because he needs to go. And that's a tension that you can understand that he has. He has responsibility, much in the same way that Takato has responsibility to do his homework or something.
Yeah.
In fact, what I liked about this episode, I think the primary thing I liked, is showing all three kids and sort of the barriers to what they should be doing versus saving the town.
And they all have other responsibilities, and we learn later on, it's Rika's family and Takato's, family and Jen's family, and that's the theme of the episode, is their responsibility to their families as well as their responsibility to Digimon.
So yeah, you kind of understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
She's this tiny child who stole his toy. In kayfabe, that's a toy that she stole from him. I mean, it's also a bit weird to take that toy from a child, but screw it. They stole it.
Then when he leaves, Terriermon shows that he actually cares about Shuchon and says, you look, Jen, you shouldn't have yelled at her like that.
That's actually weird coming from Terriermon, especially because of how badly she treats him.
Yeah, she chokes him and, changes his nappy and puts him in a princess outfit.
You'd think that he'd get out of that and be like, yeah, you showed her a radical. Tiddle-tiddle-doo!
In the dub, Terriermon wonders what's wrong with him, since it's not usually like him to act like that. Jen notices a chart and he looks at it, and Ricky's with her grandma, and when they see Jen looking at the chart. In the dub...
Look at that!
Okay. You have a problem with that poster?
Hello, Henry. Hi, can I borrow that chart?
I thought guys only liked posters of girls in bikinis.
Then we find out that Rika's been clothes shopping, and Rika's unhappy about it because she only owns jeans and only wants to own jeans.
I think that's really funny.
Then Seiko, who's Ruki's grandma, gets a phone call and says, "Oh, Ruki, it's for you." And it's Ruki's mum. And she says, "Hey, I don't have work. Maybe we can hang out then." In the dub, Seiko and Rika's mum talk for a bit. And
this is the most disgusting conversation.
Yeah, did you want to say it then?
Okay, it goes something along the lines of, So the grandma who's great, goes, okay, don't worry about it, I'll cover for you, and Ruki goes off. And the mom goes, oh, we were gonna do something today. The grandma goes, no, I'm pretty sure she's gone to the park. To which the mom goes, the park? But you can't do any shopping there! Then I think the grandma says, look, I don't think she always needs to worry about her looks. The mom goes, more important than her looks? What?
Yeah, and she thinks she's going to faint. And it's this weird sort of... Yeah, and the mum wants to take her post-shopping shopping. Instead of just, like, saying, oh, we'll hang out. Like, she doesn't say what they're going to do, hang out. They could just, watch TV or something. But it has to be specified that it's shopping in the dub. And I just don't like that, how they say, oh, no, she's a girl, so... she's feminine. All she cares about is shopping.
The mom is really awful. I hate her.
But in the original, she tries.
Yeah, I was like, there was a sub theme of like her trying to be close with her daughter and failing because they have disparate interests. Whereas in the English, it is she actually kind of hates her daughter presumably because they don't have similar interests. Yeah. She hates her. And rather than trying to get close, she's trying to just bludgeon her into liking the stuff she likes now.
Also, when Ruki's on the phone to her mother, she's quite polite in the original, and she says, sorry, Mum, I already have plans with friends. And then Seiko explains that she's at the age where she'd rather play with friends. In the dub, Rika is not even slightly polite and just says, look, I'm going to the park, Mum. I don't want to go shopping with you.
Well, she doesn't deserve politeness.
And like, when she picks up the phone, she immediately says, I don't like dresses. I'm like, okay.
That's the English version of Moshi Moshi.
Yeah.
Someone calls, I don't like dresses. Oh, hey, Dave.
Yeah. And it's just, when she says she's going to the park, her mum says, you can't shop at the park. And it's so uncomfortable. And Rika's just not polite to her mum, and her mum's not polite to her. Instead of like saying, "Oh, look, sorry, I already made plans," and then Seiko and Rumiko, I think her name is, decide to hang out with each other.
So Impmon's down in the sewers, still covered in crap, still looking injured from his fight.
He looks like he has a broken leg.
I don't feel
his
like
leg
that.
looks really twisted in the wrong angle.
That's just because he's animated badly. Because like his legs are noodles. Because he's got a weird design, so when they're bent, they look broken. But also, how many days has this been since he took that beating?
A few days.
Lemon's fine. He did almost die. He doesn't have a partner to help him out. But maybe staying in the sewers isn't helping.
Yeah. I think it's also emotional damage, because he's saying how pitiful he feels.
That's true. And we learn eventually that there's a sub-theme of this season, which is that power comes from belief.
In the dub, he says the Digi-slaves must be laughing at him, and how everyone hates him, and how he hates himself for being a loser who can't Digivolve.
That doesn't actually make any sense, and I think that, like, you're meant to kind of feel sorry for him because he's so upset, but then when he says, they must hate me because of how I can't Digivolve, like, that's not why they hate you. They hate you because you threw fireballs at their parents.
Yeah, also that.
Like, they have totally legitimate reasons to hate you. And I think what the show is going for is like, man, no one likes me. But you gave them reasons to not like you.
We then cut to Kazu, who's been practicing his card slash.
It's so dumb.
It's so cute. He tries so hard. I love him. He's been learning from Henry then if he's making that noise.
Yeah.
Takada remembers Leomon, and for some reason remembers a scene he wasn't actually present for.
I didn't notice that.
It's when Leomon shows up. And he's not there for that scene, so I'm not sure how he's having this, like, flashback. I guess maybe Juri told him. Then Juri shows up and asks all of them to teach her how to play. Kazu wants to look at her cards, and Kenta says she has a lot. In the dub, Juri says she sorted it in alphabetical order.
Classic.
And Kazu and Kenta keep commenting in the dub about how many cards she has and how expensive they are, and how she's not only spent her own pocket money, she's also spent, like, everyone else's.
Yeah, she just ended up with a lot of really rare cards.
Because Yakuza...
They're doing this really classic, like, dickhead card game player thing, where there's a new player, and you're like, hey, this is a rare card, I'll trade you 5 of my cards. Like, not specifying what they are, obviously, because you're going to trade 5 crap things for this good thing you want. Ooh, it's scummy.
And they just want to trade, and Juri says, look, I want to learn how to play the card game. I'm not really interested in trading at the moment. Then Ruki shows up and says that she'll teach her.
And so like, hey, babe, I'll help you. That's what she said, right?
Yeah, definitely. In the dub, when she shows up, she says, look, how about you learn from someone who can actually play? So
That's
again,
fair.
Like, she's smug, but also she is the best player. So
It's weird, she's never actually played with them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised they've never had the, like, sit-down moment of, like, absolutely getting crushed by
I feel
her.
like they're gonna, because the way Kazu gets whenever he loses to Takado, I feel like he would just be full of salt if he lost to Ruki.
No, I think that you could have like a fun moment of like, I don't believe this Digimon Queen thing. Then like just flash immediately to his face, like completely shocked.
Obliterated, yeah.
And she's like, so when are you going to start playing?
Yeah.
I don't know, you could do something. I think that you need to I think before this part, it would be better to reinforce how amazing she is at this game.
Yeah, because we've never actually seen her play. We're just sort of taking the show's word for it that she's amazing, and everyone else's word for it.
Because the only time we ever actually see anyone play, it is the last turn of the game, and they do something to win. That's it.
Kenta is worried that with Ruki teaching Juri, what if she becomes as good as the Digimon Queen?
Or I think in English it's the Digimon Queen 2.
Yeah, which is fine. It's fair enough. Juri wants Leomon to come back and asks Ruki if she thinks that Leomon will come back. Ruki says, I don't know, but it's better to think that he will. Then Calamon jumps on Juri's head, and Ruki says, look, Calamon even agrees. And this is a sweet moment, and we haven't really seen Ruki be this sweet, and it's quite nice. In the dub, she says, look, if he doesn't come back, you can get a better Digimon. And then when Calamon jumps on her head, she says, like Calamon.
Which Calamon should have been like, no! And like fall off, because that was his previous reaction.
Yeah. Jen shows the poster that he got with the Chinese zodiac, and that they're all Deva.
This scene is really silly as well, because he like puts the poster down and everyone's like, what's this? What are you doing with this poster? What's going on? He's like, I'm going to tell you. No, what's up with the poster?
In the dub, Kazu asks, what? No bikini girls?
Because I like the callback.
Yeah, the
that's funny, but also go away.
Then the weird boy shows up and says "ma" again, and his head does a 360,
no, it
and
doesn't.
it does 180.
Yeah, it does 180.
And then nobody bats an eye.
No, first of all, he runs away and they start chasing him. And I think it's Juri who says, has anyone tried talking to him?
Yeah.
Hey, come back, and starts chasing. And then, I mean, she's trying to talk and he's not listening, so obviously a good point. Then yeah, he stops, his head just swivels the whole way around like an owl, or like the girl from The Exorcist. And you're like, uh-oh.
But nobody bats an eyelid.
Yeah, no one even thinks about it.
Nobody goes, oh, that's not normal. Everyone just sort of says, okay.
Then they'll stop when Gilmon... Also, no, Gilmon gets all slow and is like, oh, oh. And I'm like, of course he does. He only eats bread.
Yeah. Also, he's like this big dragon. I don't think he's known for his speed.
But then, he goes, and he smells a Digimon, and then Terrimon's riding him, and he just darts off. Like, he's super fast now.
Yeah.
So he was never tired, he just didn't care about this chase.
Also, Gilmon's face, whenever he sees a Digimon, is amazing that it just changes from,
His eyes change.
Yeah, I really like it. I appreciate it. Hypnos detect a wild one, and Yamaki asks if it's been causing the earthquakes. And apparently, it's the biggest data ever that they've ever seen. In the dub, they say that it's overloading the system, and they need to reboot the system.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yamaki then says if it realizes it could have enough power to destroy Shinjuku.
I mean, it's big, but as far as the destruction of the place goes, and we're going to discuss it in a moment, but it's no more powerful with regard to destroying buildings than Groundmon is.
Yeah.
It is significantly stronger than Groundmon.
He's very big.
But just the specific discussion of destroying Shinjuku is really minor because all Digimon can do that. Gargamon could do that if he wanted.
Jianyu then explains to Yamaki how advanced Digimon have become, and Yamaki says that he has to launch Shogai fully. Back to the kids, Takada says the strange boy has always been staring at Calamon, and then this is when Gilmon smells the Digimon.
At this point, I think around this point, I theorize that perhaps Calamon is actually the Digimon god, and he doesn't know.
When the big boar realizes the best line ever.
Sorry, can
in
I
the
just
dub?
read your notes? Big boar!
Yep, that's what I wrote when it happens. It's a big... Hey, he's a big boar. In the dub, Terriermon says...
It's gonna be big!
How can you tell?
We're looking up, aren't we?
That's fair. That is a really fair assessment.
Okay, good point. If you're looking
that.
for something big, you might look up.
So they turn on... Oh, yeah, so Imon's on the ground and there's LiT shows up that's, talking to him and is like, come back to the digital world.
Well, it hasn't actually said anything yet. This is just Imon saying, come back? What do you mean, come back?
Wob, 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 wob.
In the dub, Itmon's saying how nobody likes him and how everybody hates him. And when the LiT shows up, he says he's not good enough for this world, but he doesn't want to leave it yet.
Aww, he hates this place. But he also likes it.
Leomon doesn't talk in the original and
Of course
does in
he
the
doesn't.
dub because why not? And I really like when they don't make them talk because it just reminds me like a big kaiju or one of the demons from Spirited Away.
It makes a lot more sense in this one as well, because when he realizes he does not fight them, he just walks through some buildings.
No, he just rampages. He's too big.
Yeah, because, and this is, I think I predicted this, which is that, like, a Digimon shows up, and it doesn't want to fight them, it just goes and destroys the town. Now, it's not intentionally destroying the town, like, it's not, I don't think it's actively being, like, town destruction is my goal, but it doesn't care about them at all, and it's just walking through buildings.
I think it's just big, scary, and dumb.
Yeah, it's a bit dumb. But so when it starts talking, that actively undermines what you're trying to get at with it, where it's kind of meant to be like a force of nature.
Yeah.
So there's a big trail leading from it up to the Shagai hole, which as like it powers up from Hypnos, it's confusing.
When Kazu sees the Leomon, Kazu says, and I thought Takato needed a haircut, and Takato gets all offended, like, well, I'm going to, and then he just starts talking about his hair, and it's kind of cute.
You know who also needs a haircut?
Me?
Ty.
No, Ty gets one, it's fine.
Does he? When he gets older,
When
I
he's
guess.
older.
No, his head just grows to fit it.
Then there's this really annoying part where Takato tells Kazu and Kenta to look after Juri and Leomon. In the dub, he says it's because it's their job to look after them. And I don't know why, because I guess Juri's a girl? Is that why?
I don't know. I mean, like, look after Leomon, right? He's
yeah,
not going to
look
fight.
after
He's
Leomon.
garbage.
Look after Leomon, definitely, but why look after Juri?
I don't know.
If her dad's in the Yakuza, Juri should look after you.
Not necessarily. Especially if they're, like, really traditional.
We get some evolutions to adults, and no, they don't really do much because, of course, which is good.
Gargamon
because-
has such a great line. None of it's working. Not even insults.
Yeah, no, that's my favourite. The helicopters show up again. Then we cut to a Yamaki, and Yamaki says that Shagai will destroy the Digimon. Janyu says that will even kill the partner Digimon, and then he gets upset. In the dub, Janyu adds that they were just about to understand artificial life, and it's such a waste to blow all that away now. Yamaki says that it's to protect the children, even if it destroys their partners and friends.
He keeps saying this over and over again, like, I'm protecting your child.
But honestly, I kind of see his point. Like, he just wants to destroy the Digimans.
Yeah, no, but I think the way he's saying it sounds really, like, he sounds too evil. His point is legitimate, but he's just like, I'm protecting your child, which is also kind of to say, if you don't let me do what I want, your child will die. Which is not true.
Takato and Jen remember their family and how worried they must be.
Remember who you are.
In the dub, Takato says that his mum must be worried about him or yelling about him. Jen says that he has to show that they all have to show that they care, and he thinks that Susie must think that he hates her. Rika realizes that her mum really does care about her, and
No, she doesn't, not in English.
I'm just thinking that, like, this was never really up for dispute, especially, like, well, in the original it wasn't. And it's just really annoying that they, for some reason, have this conflict in the dub.
Especially in the English, it makes no sense.
Janyu grabs Yamaki and tells him that he can't destroy the Digimon. Then
Yamaki's like, I'll do what I want.
Then back to the kid, Jen's thinking of his sisters and holds up the card. And then in the dub, he says he wants to protect his sister. So only one sister, even though in the original it's sisters, because he has multiple. Ruki thinks of her family. In the dub, that's the same. Takato thinks of his town. In the dub, he says that he wants to protect the whole darn city. Then we get blue cards, and they look so MS painted on.
I'm so unhappy about this. Because the blue cards are already such a weird mess. And I hate this idea that, the cards were meaningless. It was that we believed. Because at that point, why are there card scanners on your devices? They're there for a reason. No, we just believe. I'm beyond the point in my life where I think, unless you can build a really interesting story around it, which they haven't, that, like, believing is the true power. The best use of that ever is spiral energy in Gurren Lagann, because that's the entire storyline.
Yeah.
It's that, like, humans have this belief, and that's what makes them dangerous. I'm like, it's cool, because it also has messages and stuff behind it. This one is literally just like, believe in yourself and your Digimon, and then you'll win. What does that mean?
I like it. So then they evolve to perfect. Shagai is ready to launch, so Yamaki launches it. And then we go on to part 2, which is a world apart, or Digimon Mass Sortie, Go Against the Wind.
Or in mine, which makes way more sense, which is Digimon Charge, rather than Mass Sortie, Advance Facing the Wind. So rather than attack the wind, it is walk against the wind.
Yeah, so is that. Go against the wind.
No.
Go against the wind.
Like, like, walk...
As I've said, the Digimon Wikia translations tend to be very literal.
Yeah.
So it's go against the wind, as in go, as in move, against, as in facing the wind.
Mass
as in
sortie
the
is
wind.
way funnier, though, because, like, charge totally sums that up.
Yeah, because, charge, but mass sortie. It just, it's literal translations.
Because one is a noun,
it's
and
lost,
one is a verb.
Jay, it's lost in literalationmon. Literal
Alliteration is a different thing entirely.
Literal. I said literal.
No, you said alliteration, Mon.
No, I said lost in
Alliterationmon.
literalationmon.
Oh, you can see where I got it wrong.
Yeah, you get it wrong
Lost
a lot.
alliteration, Mon. Ooh, ah.
Whoa.
Oh, my feels.
I got the sass from Terriamon. I'm the one who inherited sass this time.
I'm gonna just fall down and then asleep.
No.
Oh, this is good.
Shigai gets launched, and Megalogrowlmon sounds so weird in the original. It's always so different from the way because they try to make him use the same voice as Gilmon and Growlmon, but
Gilmon's voice is so happy.
I know it doesn't look good in Megalogrowlmon. It sounds so weird, but I love it.
I'm a giant robot. I'm in a bot.
The perfect Digimon aim at Vicaralamon, and in the dub, Rapidmon wonders what he smells. What Growlmon says it's because what they're fighting is a pig, and Talmon says it's definitely not kosher.
Yeah, which is weird because, I mean, I don't think that Judaism is a particularly big religion in Japan, but even if it was, like, present, I don't think that the Fox Digimon would know what it is. I don't think they would follow that at all. But yeah, the board just beats them all, like, pretty easy, while the Shagai starts to do really weird stuff with the sky. Like, it seems to be opening big tears in it, and you can start seeing impressions of Digimon behind it.
Yeah.
I did not bother to look at what they were, but some of them were recognizable.
Like Airdramon?
Yeah, so Jen states, basically, that Digivices transfer the power of belief, which Jen just knows. Because he made it up.
I think you've skipped a few things.
That's because I don't care
like
about stuff.
Like Takado's parents, they're wondering where Takado is.
This is not important, but okay.
And they said they'll look for him. In the dub, they said that it'll be better to find him on the streets because of the roadblocks.
You know what this sounds like exactly? Isn't this like Davis's parents?
Yeah, they do remind me a bit of Davis's parents.
Which is like, we should probably go out and see if he's okay.
Then
that was his parents earlier in the season. Damn it! That was Takado's parents.
Yeah. Some officers run past and tell them to hurry because of how dangerous it is to stay. In the dub, the officers are more forceful and they said, look, we give you 5 minutes because the bakery might get destroyed. Then Takado's dad makes a joke about how he's always wanted to redecorate.
That's dumb. It's like, yes, my livelihood will just disappear. It's really funny, huh? Yeah.
When the gate starts opening up, Vicaralamon says that he's opening the gate when he's clearly not.
Yeah.
The gate's just opening.
That's what the Shagai is.
Yeah.
Which...
It's also it's like sucking them in but also destroying them and deleting them.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing and it seems to like trap.
So we find out that basically the thing that almost tried to delete Gilmon was sort of like a Shagai, I guess.
It's like a portal.
Yeah.
Right? And they sort of start getting trapped and like appears to be starting to delete them or something.
Yeah.
At which point Jen's dad is like, no, I've had enough of this, and tries to like leave Hypnos. He storms out. Security guards.
Before that, Yamaki asks Janyu if it's hearsay for humans to create life. Then he shows him Vicaralamon and says that Janyu created this and he's completely to blame because of it. In the dub, he doesn't really say, it's not right for humans to create life. He's just saying how he blames him for creating such monsters.
What happened to, this wasn't your fault, you couldn't have seen this coming? It's the same guy.
As I said, I feel like he was only being nice to get them to help him, and now he's got what he wants. So he got them all together by saying, look, we don't blame you, we just want to help. We want to work together. I feel like that was just a front that he was putting on.
They never actually accomplished anything, though. Because he's going to leave before they do anything. The Shagai was already built.
Yeah. Then this is where Jen says about believing in the heart of the cards. And that the cards are just nothing by themselves, and the Digivice converts their trust and belief into actual power.
He just made that up, though. He has no way of verifying that.
Well, he uses Digimental Destiny, so it's his destiny.
What, does he?
Yeah, they use the Digimental Destiny card. It's on the card that they use.
Really?
Yeah, it's the artwork on the card.
God.
And it gets Rapidmon and Talmon out of the tar.
That just means that the power levels in the show are completely dictated by how the characters feel at the time.
Yep, 100%.
That's really stupid. Which is coming from the same show that earlier had this really creative way of doing fights, where like the cards would be very specific and you have to use them in creative ways to win, which was really impressive. And now it's, if I feel like winning, then I will. That's stupid, and I'm really not happy it's going this way.
So the Digimental of the Digidestiny of Australia gets Rapidmon and Talmon out of the tar. Rapidmon starts fading and says that he's losing power. Then Talmon makes a yin-yang symbol and Rapidmon jumps onto it. Yamaki is smug and says that he's the only one who knows how to use all the power he has. In the dub, he says that he's going to change the world forever. Then this is when Janyu runs away and beats up some security guards.
Just like really easily too.
Yeah, and in the dub, it's he talks during it, which I think ruins the moment.
He's like, I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah, he says, "I hate to do this, but my son needs me," instead of being silent. In the original, he's silent, and it's this really cool moment where...
It's like intense.
The security guards run up to him, and he just grabs them and just throws them, basically, and it's pretty cool.
So Takato is stressing about Gilmon, and he's like, specifically Megalogrammon.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, well, evolution, and he stops being himself, and, you know, I don't want to lose Gilmon, which is weird, because we've really established this by now, that is not how it works. He's having this anxiety that we haven't really had for 10 episodes. At which point, of course, Ruki's like, well, Talmon's still Renamon, we're still good friends, of course we are. Like, they don't change, which in English makes even less sense, because he still has Gilmon's voice.
In the in the original, he still has Gilmon's voice. They changed it a bit more in the English version. So I also want to point out that Rika says best friend instead of just friend to refer to Talmon, and I find that really big. It's a really nice jump.
Well, think about it. Who in the world does she spend more time with?
Yeah, it's
no one.
It's Ruki, like it's Ruki in Renamon, but so they call it best friend instead of just friend, and I really like that. Also in the dub, Henry adds that Gilmon is still a doofus even when he evolves. So what's with people calling Gilmon a doofus?
I mean, he's a bit of a doof.
He is a bit of a doof.
He's
I love
also
him,
in
though.
a box.
Calamon is in Juri's arm and starts to stress about how he doesn't remember something and he doesn't know what's going on. In the dub, he's just saying how he doesn't want to go. Please don't let them take me.
I feel like at some point he says, I don't want to go back.
Yeah. He says a bunch of things. He's stressing. It's really sad.
But I don't want to go back is very specific.
Janyu gets to Jen, and then he says sorry to Jen. Yamaki is on the phone to somebody, and then I guess a bug gets into their system because of the Digimon. The weird child shows up and starts speaking about how they're only protecting their world, and it's completely natural, but humans are threatening their world, and they have the right to evolve and destroy anybody who tries to stop them.
He has this like really weird, like long kind of Nietzschean speech.
Yeah, and in the dub he says how humans polluted their world and that they had to only digivolve to survive. And the only way to protect their world is to destroy any threats. And I find them completely understandable now, after knowing this, that, like, they're just protecting themselves. They think that the humans are trying to destroy them.
No, but it's a lie. None of what he says actually makes any sense, because A, humans created their world, B, humans would not be polluting it, they'd be enhancing it, because it's the digital side of things. 3, why would Digimon be coming from there to the human world then if they're so bad, and wanting to live there?
I just don't think they actually know that the Digimon don't actually know what's going on. This is just what they think is going on.
Yeah, they could be really, really deluded.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're understandable as a result. I think that they're horrendously deluded. Especially because of what we know of the digital world from other seasons, and I can't imagine that it's hugely different from that.
We cut back to Itmon, and the LiT starts talking and asks if he wants the power to evolve.
Well, duh.
Yes.
Yes.
Back to the kids, the weird child points at Calumon. In the dub, Kazu says that he can't have Calumon but he can have Kenta.
It's so mean. Although, oh god, what is it? Oh, this really reminds me of something. Which part was it where they just sometimes would just say something really awful about somebody?
In 02?
This happened in 02 a lot, yeah. Yeah, it's just like when you'd have the throwaway lines about everyone that hates Davis.
Yeah.
It's fair, but it feels a lot like that.
Then the weird child becomes his true form and jumps off. In the dub, he says his real name, which is Makuramon.
When does he throw the pearl into the Shagai?
Shortly after this, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Takada's parents find the concrete structure and bags from the bakery, and then we cut back to Janyu, and he says that he's done something terrible. In the dub, Junyu says that now that Juggernaut is at full power, there's nothing much more that they can do. Now, yeah, this is where the monkey throws the orb at the Shy Guy and starts to control it.
I feel like there's something here about throwing a pearl and having swine around, and there's
yeah.
something going on.
Yeah, casting pearls before swine.
I feel like that's there's a metaphor happening here.
Yeah, no, I didn't get that reference. No, that's interesting.
At which point, yeah, Yamaki loses control of the Shy Guy.
Yeah, and Megumi falls off and says that she's had enough. I'm not really sure why she falls off. I guess it just shook or something. Or I'm not sure if she tried to get free and fell.
This part's weird because Yamaki's so confident and
a lot goes on in this scene that's very busy.
Yeah, but what I mean is the Shy Guy's never worked out. He loses control of everything he ever does, and he always seems like, yeah, I totally know what I'm doing.
Yeah, he always seems surprised when it doesn't work, and then he tries it again, and it, surprise, doesn't work.
So there are characters in fiction who are always in control, and they know it, and that's really interesting. But a character who thinks they're in control but never isn't interesting. It's just sad.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like a threatening bad guy who stands in alleyways saying, "Hey kid, I saw what you did." I'm not going to do anything about it though.
The Hypnos staff members start trying to evacuate, and Yamaki says that they still have duties. A scientist comes up to him and says, look, this may be beyond AI at this point. In the dub, he says that he values his own life, and his life is more important than whatever's going on, and that the AI has clearly become too smart for its own good.
Or something like, my life is more important than your obsession.
Yeah.
Which I think was really interesting.
Because it is Yamaki's obsession.
Yeah. Then Yamaki says something along those lines, fine, I'll just stay here on my own.
Yeah.
In which he stands there, the building shakes, and about 5 seconds later, the building explodes.
Yeah.
So first of all, everyone else who's leaving is dead, and so is he. Good work. Also, spoilers, Yamaki's around at the end of the episode, he didn't die, even though he was in the exploding building.
Also,
I have no idea how he survived.
There's a bit here where Reika stares at Yamaki, and Yamaki says, look, you can just go. In the dub, she talks, and she says, good luck, before she runs off. And
Because
they
he's
added
about
a line.
to die.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He had a lot of luck.
Back to the Digimon, Talmon says that the impure energy that was weakening them has gone. In the dub, she says she doesn't know quite what has happened, but she's ready to fight, and so is the pig. The helicopters are continually not doing much. They're just trying their best, though, so you've got to admire their spirit.
Yeah, the only note I have right now is there.
Yeah.
Because it's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah. So do you want to say that part then?
Yeah. So, Juri, Kazu, and Kenta run up to the Tamers and talk about, the weird boy who turns into a monkey. Dakota remembers what Jen said, that, the Digimon are still your friends even if they evolve, and that friends help each other. At which point, and also about, belief and everything. And so, in what I feel is very reminiscent of the prequel episode of Adventure, with the whistle, and dead Greymon walks up to Megalogram, who is currently being crushed under a lava egg or something like that, and then he just goes, hold on, I'm going to just stand back in the microphone here. He just goes, ah!
Yeah, because making noise works, and also it's reminiscent of the Shorp that goes meh.
But I think this is hilarious because, he has this thing where his arms are off his side and he's shaking.
Really cute.
And he's like, ah! And then they play that 3 times.
Yeah, they do, but I love it. Just go away.
It's so bad. It's really bad. Do you remember back when they used to win fights creatively and now he does it by yelling?
Yeah, why not? Ruki and Jen start screaming too, and then they destroy Lemon.
Ah!
Kazu, Kenta, and Juri run up to them. Then the monkey Deva takes Kalumon and says they need him to evolve further. He flies off into the sky. Then a wild Leomon appears and says that we're free to live our own lives. Then we see that there's a big phoenix on the other side.
Oh! I feel like it looks like one of the holy beasts I saw once that you showed me. Am I wrong?
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Well, we did learn in the Kyoto episode of Digimon Adventure 02 that in Kyoto there are the 4 rulers, the 4 gods. One is a phoenix.
I feel like you showed me all the holy beasts before.
One is a Dargon. One is a tree turtle-y thingy, I think.
Okay, so it's a turtle.
So yeah, we've got Phoenix, Dragon, Beast, Turtle thing.
We're really upset if, what's it called? The one with the orbs from
Leomon?
If Leomon comes up and is a villain, that'd be so upsetting.
Well, he's a holy beast.
I know, but it'd be really upsetting is what I'm saying.
He's already said that he's a holy beast.
I know. Okay.
And there are other holy beasts, and there are 4 of them.
Okay, what would actually be the coolest thing that could ever happen?
What?
Is if by the end of the season, you like all the kids like digivolve to their final forms or whatever, and like Talmon becomes Piedmon, and like Megalogrammon becomes like Machinedramon.
And this is the
And this is
prequel.
how they beat the Holy Beast and like all this stuff, and these are the Dark Masters in their early forms.
Yeah.
Which is why like they're kind of aware of things that that Digimon exist, but maybe like they become not popular later. Or something, because there's stuff that could happen. It would be really cool. It's not gonna happen.
And so the
that's
game,
too cool.
and the game that Oikawa and Iori's father played was the game that that Janyu was working on.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and that's why they look so similar. And like, Oikawa would be about the kids' age right now. And they called him Kenta.
Oh, poor baby. Poor Kenta.
Like, there's so much stuff you could do. Nah, they're just recycling elements from O2, though.
Leomon gets hit by some darts. Then he falls to the ground. Juri reaches out for him, and she gets her own Digivice.
Because she believed hard enough, I guess.
Janyu calls it an arc. In the dub, instead of saying, oh, it's an arc, he asks if it's real. Juri aims it at Leomon and heals him.
Because that's how that works.
Must be. Takada says that they're now going to rescue Calamon and go to the digital world. And Kaze, which is a Wada Koichi song, starts playing in the background. In the dub, there's dialogue of Takada, Rika, and Henry discussing how they'll figure out how to rescue Calamon. Then there's a scene that's cut from the dub, and it's the children running happily, and the colours are so bright and lovely, and then text appears on the screen that says, "The Tamers set off on an adventure to the digital world."
I guess that is more of like not an epilogue, but like a really like end of part one.
Yeah, it's a end of Act 1 intermission time.
I don't like that, what's it called? There's like this cool moment where like Takada's like, we're going to the digital world. And then in the dub, just Rika's like, but how do we... No, Jen's like, how are we gonna do that? And Rika's like, we'll wing it, I guess.
Yeah, because that's what Rika's always done, right?
Yeah, and Takada's like, I guess we'll come up with something. That's not cool. Also, Yamaki's not dead.
I read something, I'm not sure how true this is, but I read that at the end of this episode, they had an extra scene that was cut, and a government official comes up to Yamaki and says, Shibumi is dead.
What?
We found Shibumi and he's dead.
That's random.
Yeah, and that was cut for the kids running through the colours and it had Kaze playing in the background.
Fair enough. They're like, oh yeah, remember that yellow coat guy we were totally introduced? Nah, he's gone now.
But I'm not sure how accurate that is. I'll see if I can do some digging, but I read it on the Digimon Wikia. So I'm not sure if it's... I'm not sure if there's any truth behind it, but I find it an interesting tidbit that there was an extra scene, which was, you know how Yamaki's standing outside the building looking, like, emotional?
And he's like, it's over.
This is when the government official says we found Shibumi is dead.
But that doesn't make any sense. Like, well, I mean, it does. But I mean, he already should be emotional. His, like, obsession is...
Yeah.
He's got screwed over. There's no way, there's not a chance he's ever getting... He's fired. He's fired right now. He's never getting any authority ever again.
Yeah.
He blew up a government building completely via hubris.
Basically, yeah. What do you think of this episode as someone who is new to Digimon?
This episode's pretty bad. Like, it's fun to watch, and it's interesting, but if you think about the damage it does to the show, it's massive, right? Like, the idea that every bit of skill... Okay, the thing that the first half of this what we've watched so far told you was... To win a fight, you have to be skilled, you have to have a good connection with your Digimon partner, you have to know when to use cards at the right time, you have to have tactics, you have to do things differently, you can't be predictable, it's not just about hitting them really hard. The end, we're told, you just have to believe good, then you'll win.
Oh, I liked it. It was cute.
It's terrible!
Oh, I liked it.
In fact, you can believe so good, now you're magic, because we, the writers, got really lazy and don't care anymore. That's why I felt this whole episode just felt like they didn't care. Like, oh, we have to write it to go to the digital world. Well, they're probably not going to have card collections in the digital world, so whatever. It's belief now.
It's the believing the heart of the cards.
I hate that. That is so awful.
What do you rate this episode, separate and together?
I guess, look, Together is like a story about hubris and, like, this beast destroying the city and trying to put things together and, like, their families and what they care about. That's interesting. That's like an 8, yeah. I think this episode, if you think about it by itself and the context, like, its basic score, before you think about how much that 1 point really drags it down, is probably like a 7.5 or something like that.
No, I'd agree. They are 100% better together.
But it's like a 5 when you boil it down to Jen being like, but belief is how it works.
Yeah.
The cards never did anything.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100% there.
Why is your Diak a card scanner if it doesn't do anything?
But believing, though.
And why would they not have believed when they used their cards earlier in the season and they didn't work because they weren't suited for the situation?
What do you think of both these episodes compared to what you thought in Obnoxious Synopsis?
So I said that Vicarolomon would be a big pig. That was correct. He's going to bust up the town, and that's going to be his primary goal. Also correct. So all the people who are going to be scared, and then I thought they would, like, all band together for the town. That's not really what it was. It's just the kids wanted to, like, protect the town. That was what their motivation was. So I got the primary elements of it right, I think. I said it'd be filler, but it wasn't, because it's, like, combined in. Although that episode, I guess, compared to the second one, is a lot more fillery. It's just really building up to the Shaggy being fired. And I said I'd be bored. I don't feel like I was bored. I don't think I was really bored with either of these, which is nice at least. As far as the third one goes, the notes here are useless, but I'm pretty sure I guessed. Nope, I can't remember anymore. That's fine.
That's why I told you to write better notes. Besides, this is meaningless.
What rating? 5? That was accurate.
The wind?
No, that's
Maybe?
fine. No, I was right. No, what rating?
The wind?
I'm trying to think anything would annoy me. The wind. To be honest, the wind was nothing.
I think it's more of a metaphor of, walk towards something that's pushing against you.
Yeah, I know.
It's a challenge. And I like that. It's a metaphor. It's artistic. I like it. What was the major difference between the Japanese and English version?
Between the two episodes, I mean, besides the pig talking, which was really bad, also, I noticed very specifically that Takato, when he, when Takato is screaming, he does not go, ah, he goes, ma, because he learned it from the sheep.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess they diffuse a lot of tension, which is really frustrating. How much... Oh, I also, obviously, Ruki's mum hates her.
Yeah, no, that was the main difference that I noticed. And also the fact that Rika is much ruder than Ruki is towards her mum. Where Ruki just says, oh, hello, mum. Oh, sorry. I've already made plans. I'm sorry about that. Instead of, picks up the phone. I hate dresses. And
also,
just starts yelling at her mum.
I forgot to mention there's a bit where Yumaki's in the, around Hypnos and, the Shy Guy thing's going insane. And they're like, there's all these problems, Sony. He goes, have you tried turning it off and then on again?
That works.
He says it more. He's like, have you tried powering it down and then,
powering it back up again.
Reboot. But no, he really just says, turn it off then on again. Because he's from the IT crowd, apparently.
So this is the end of an arc, or where I've chosen to end the arc. Where do you think it'll go from here, besides to the digital world? Because duh.
I mean, they have to go and fight the Holy Beast, I guess, at which point they sort of have to work through the, religious weirdness that's going on with the Digimon. I would really like to see, not a different interpretation of the digital world necessarily, in the sense that, the green grid that we got was awful at the beginning, and I hope that was an in-between space. What I mean is, stuff's going on there, and you don't really know what it is. When the Digimon Emperor was randomly around all of a sudden, and the rules had changed.
Yeah.
I kind of want that. The rules have changed. I think that's cool. Because right now, they've only ever fought enemies individually, or, 2 at a time, but they're also, individuals. I don't think they know what to do if there was, a big if they walked into, the town of whatever Mons, and they're all thinking a certain way. They have no idea how to address that, I don't think. I think that would be cool. And, I mean, I hope they're also trapped there and they can't just go back and forth all the time.
Well, from what we've seen, it seems like...
It looks one way.
They want to go there because they have to be there, so it looks like they're not going to come home until the day is done. Yeah,
and then we're going to find out finally, probably, halfway through this next arc, at least, or right at the end of the next arc, how, what Kulamon is. He is evolution.
So we found out that there's a new tamer in town, and it's Juri, and her partner is Leomon. So, remember when I said that there was a spoiler figure that was announced? Okay. So I'll show you it now. So there was a prototype for a Leomon and Juri figure.
Okay.
It's really cute. Look, Juri's just sitting on Leomon's arm.
What did I guess her colour would be?
Yellow.
Yes!
Yep. Same as the
Got
puppet.
it!
Same
Got
as the
it!
puppet. She ditches a puppet for a Digivice.
So. Does
that
the puppet
cute?
ever come back?
Why would I tell you that?
Fair enough.
I'm not going to. I'm going to go in. I'm trying to make you go in blind for everything here.
That's fair.
even the puppet.
Okay.
So what do you think of the figure?
I think
I know it's not coloured in.
I think the
it's a prototype.
proportions are a bit frightening, honestly.
Yeah, because he's Leomon. He's out of proportion. He's a big lion with abs. Do you expect him to be in proportion?
Yes.
No.
He gets to be a dude who has a lion's mane.
He's just anthropomorphic. He's just a giant furry.
He's a big lad.
What do you think about her being a tamer and part of the main characters?
I would have been happy about it if she didn't drastically change as a character all in this set of episodes.
Do you think they'll improve her at all?
Probably. But my optimism for this writing team has taken so many hits.
That's sad.
It's better than O2, but I'm beginning to think it's really I don't know, it's starting to mesh quality with maybe adventure at certain points. Because it's not brain-numbingly stupid all the time. But
say it aren't so.
Say it aren't so.
Say it aren't so.
Oh man, I miss my aunt so. I don't never had an aunt so.
For screenshot of this week, I chose Rainbow Leomon because
just Leomon standing on the rainbow.
Standing on a rainbow, I thought it was pretty sweet.
And I chose. There's this really funny bit where when Juri's just talking about how she thinks Kulon will be a partner, and then the mouse Deva shows up, and so she grabs Kulon, holds it out in front of her like a shield, so, protect me.
No, I think that's cute as well. There were some Digimon introduced in these episodes. We won't talk about Leomon because we've already seen him before, unless you have any more thoughts about
I have nothing to say
Leomon.
about this furry trash.
So we have Kumbiramon, the mouse.
Okay, it's an orb and it's trash. It's not as trash as the chicken, because at least the orb shape kind of makes sense.
Well, I prefer the mouse one, definitely.
Yeah, and the mouse one has it's kind of got a better. It's not necessarily a better gimmick. The electricity eating one was interesting, but at least it's not a big weird ugly face, and then it had more of a personality. It didn't have to have a small glowing red mouse speak for it.
What about Vicaralamon?
I know it's a big pig. You can be a big pig too. Oi!
What about Makuramon?
I don't know which one that is.
That's the monkey.
Oh, I don't remember what it looks like, honestly.
He looks like a monkey.
It's just the
wearing
Monkey
a nice
King.
outfit.
I don't know.
Basically.
It's fine. It's probably a bit busier than it needs to be.
For Postmon Pat this week, our first message is from Anime Guy Kurosaki, and he messages on Patreon. And he says, regarding Itmon and Yamaki not being a good pair, what about Kazu, Kenta, or Jerry being Itmon's partner?
I guess the only one I would see there that could be his partner and it wouldn't feel really weird is Kazu.
I'd like to see him with Juri, actually.
No, because I don't think...
Because she's so different, and I think that they challenge each other.
Yeah, I think so, but I think they're, too wildly different. I don't think there's... Because the thing about challenging each other is there should be slight complement there, right? With Terramon, who really challenges Jen, at least, he's open to, he's open to the Sen stuff. Whereas I feel if you put Itmon with Juri, she'd get crushed under, the weight of his, annoying personality. He'd go up to, the dog pup and just, rip it up out of spite. Whereas, Kazu, I think they're both hot-headed, and they could, balance.
Or maybe Kenta would get some personality because if Itmon has personality, I don't know.
But did I say Kenta? I meant Kazu.
I'm adding on to maybe Kenta.
Fair enough.
No, you said Kazu, yeah.
Okay. We got a Gmail from Chuckmon that says, anyway, back to episode 19 and 20. Impmon, you're impossible. They loved his little rampage as Impmon-sama, stomping on car roofs and taking the little girl's ice cream cone. And then we saw Impmon hiding in the street vendor's cart, trying to heal. It was sad, but also cute. They love Impmon. Both the Japanese and the English are written pretty well. Speaking of cute, when Terramon jumps into Jen's lap, that was really cute. He was so excited to see Jen. Hirokazu making a blue card to help the team was adorable also. And when he was pushing Takato to try it, saying, put some spirit into it. It was cute. Too many Digimodify animations and Digivolution sequences amounted to wasted time and lazy writing. And God, that was a really bad thing in O2. You just felt like they were really throwing a lot of evolutions in. Sometimes
the same Digimon would evolve 2-3 times an episode because there were so many evolutions. And I felt like sometimes you could really skip half of an episode because it was just evolutions. At least this season, even though they could be wasting more time with card slashes, sometimes they just they managed to not overdo it too much, because I feel like they don't want to, overuse stuff. But I feel like, what was the episode that had a lot of fighting and not much else? One of the last episodes, it was just,
What they've done with the multiple evolutions is they'll have all the card slashes go simultaneously, then the evolutions will be their own thing, which I think is a nice balance.
But the end will be slightly spliced together, like they'll go Growlmon, Cubimon, Gargamon.
And then Chuckmon finishes that they said the best part of the episode is the appearance of the mysterious boy. And at the end of episode 19, when Itmon goes to face Indaramon, again claiming that he will load his data, and to be continues appear in the English, Davis says, "Whoa, talk about delusions of grandeur." I mean, did anyone else appreciate the irony of that?
Yes, that was wonderful.
We got one from SP saying that Renemon's compassion towards him, they mean in the beginning she wouldn't, I think it was towards Immon. She wouldn't care much about Immon's resolve so much. She would probably absorb his data if Ruki commanded. But since Ruki gradually softens up, Renemon allows herself to act with more feeling, which she always had but didn't show because of Ruki, which I'm not sure that's necessarily the case. I think she was also pretty cold, and then she sort of softened up in response. I think it was mutual, but that's just the way I read it. They also agree with you that Calamon would be the ideal partner for Yamaki, even if it would ruin his character a bit. It would have provided some awesome scenes. They're curious to hear what we have to say on Juri having a partner. Do we think that it ruins the setup of having kids without Digimon in the team? First of all, there's still kids with Digimon in the team, so we'll see how that goes.
And also, we saw all of Takado's friends, and they don't have Digimon. Like, he has that sort of, besides Kazu and Kenta, they just have the unnamed friends who also hung out, and I like that.
You know what I didn't realise?
What?
Did Davis have any friends?
No. He did not have nice friends.
He didn't deserve any. But I realize now that, Takado has this life they've kind of just alluded to through this, whereas Davis was garbage.
Yeah. We also got some fan art from Hirorai.
Oh, it's the best.
It was the
it's
best.
So good.
It was about the holding Calamon up to Jen's face and says, Digivolve! And it's really cute. So thank you so much for that.
There's a secondary one where it's rubbing it in Yamaki's face.
And he says, Digivolve your differences, which is a part of one of the Fox Kids ads, and Prodigious say Digivolve your differences a lot now.
I think in the first one with Jen, Terriermon's there, you gotta nade harder.
Yeah, nade harder, buddy.
And,
it's so cute.
And Calamon's just I'm a living plot device.
Because that's what Calamon is.
It's so cute. I love that so much. Oh, I love that. Now we got one from Ashley from Prodigious, and asking why we'd remind them of the terrifying realistic Digimon crap we're talking about, how all this would be live action. And
So I have the Kotaku article that Ashley's talking about, and I'll link it in the show notes.
That's gross.
So it's mildly disturbing. There's Gilmon, which is kind of scary, and
Calamon.
Calamon.
But Gilmon's a dinosaur. You can kind of understand what that would be.
There's Sunamon.
Jesus.
There's Siegemon and Garurumon.
Oh, man.
Greymon. Greymon looks pretty cool.
Greymon looks cool. Because he should be. He's just a dinosaur.
I know there's Pikachu. And then there's Pokemon as well.
Oh, God. I always think that sometimes with those, they go a little bit overboard with how creepy they'd be.
The Doduo looks amazing.
Yeah, Doduo looks.
I don't know why it's there with Digimon.
Doduo is literally an emu with two heads. That's fine, right? And Pikachu's just a mouse. But, there are some that'd be really gross.
I really like Gilmon, because I feel like, looking at Gilmon, I think I understand why Takado was screaming, because that's pretty spooky.
They further say that just as a little funny story of theatre tickets being pricey, they went to see Brave with their roommates for a summer program in New York City in 2012, and the tickets for regular admission was something like $14 or $15. So when the teller told one of the roommates what they owed for the ticket, the roommate replied, "I'm not going in for the 3D showing," and the teller simply said, "I know you're not, sweetie." That New York City snark that summer really, really sucked for their wallet. But they consider Rika's family being able to live on their own in a big fancy house without the menfolk to be successful. There are many different types of success, but financial success is certainly one of the bigger ones we silly humans tend to focus on. The mom definitely seems successful in her own
she's
way.
A successful
the
model.
grandma does not have anything going on.
I'm not sure what she does, but I'm assuming it's something amazing.
I think
maybe she's involved in theatre.
Or she's in the Yakuza.
Oh, maybe. Everyone's Yakuza.
Honestly, I'm not sure the show has enough evidence to imply...
I think they're successful. They have a lovely house. There's no blokes around. I think... Because,
the
mum's successful.
The thought that I had on that,
yeah?
which is why I'm saying there's not enough evidence, is that, what if the grandpa was the rich one and he died and there was just a big inheritance? There are other options here. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm not saying that that's what should happen, because honestly, the evidence provided, I guess the first thought you'd have is that they are successful. That makes more sense. They're there. They live there. But, I mean, like, it's an old traditional house. It would make sense, I think, for it to be in the family a long time.
Yeah, but I just like the idea that they're, you know, they're successful women without men around. It's
definitely nice.
Also,
I think that's a better reading of it.
Also, I think that that Seiko and Ruki were on the way back from training of some description, but I'm not sure what it was. I think I might have missed that.
Did you say they were back from shopping?
No, in the dub that they were back from shopping.
Oh, right.
But in the original, they're back from some form of training, so...
Weren't they wearing, like...
the grandma was wearing a kimono.
Yeah.
But that's also because, you know, she's an old, stylish lady. So maybe it's sort of like Sora's mum, how she was like the flower arranger, like the really high thought of occupation in Japan that was really, and it was, you know, she was able to survive on her own with the dad working away. I know, I like strong women without men around. It's nice.
That's fair. And finally, on With the Will, we got one from FXMave, who says that Leomon, Sama, and Juri's goofs were hilarious. They laughed out loud so many times in only one episode. They vaguely remembered not enjoying the episode for some reason, and I guess they felt it was too cringy to watch Juri acting that way. But nowadays, they couldn't help but simply laugh. And you know what? I did feel it was cringy looking at her act that way.
I agree. I feel like I wasn't looking forward to this episode. That's probably why I enjoyed it as much as I did, because it surprised me.
And they know it's been said many times how everyone's happy that Jay is enjoying himself. Not anymore!
Oh, you're enjoying it more than you were in Zero Two.
Fair enough. But it was particularly fun to see me react in a positive way to the next episode's title portion, rather than being uninterested or breaking down, like in Black Greymon in his back fiasco.
Everybody loves that line, by the way.
God, that was the worst moment of my life. Just reading his name again when I thought he was dead. They really like how Japanese Renemon's evolutions are. For a Japanese cartoon, it's surprising how generic most Digimon are, and they appreciate Renamon being rooted in Japanese mythos, though vaguely. And the evolution sequence and the sound design, especially with the traditional theater cues. Okay, it looks like leather, but it's the second H is wrong. Theater sound cues when she shows up or evolves, for example. They kind of wish there was more of that, and of different cultures even, in the Digimon designs. It'd be a good way to make the kids interested in other countries' cultures, and they'll say have a nice trip to Japan.
Yay!
Which
And
we appreciate.
We will.
They do have a bunch of like really Japan-specific stuff in the show, but it's probably good they didn't make it the entire thing. You have to consider that when you are making making a show like this, and I know Japan doesn't necessarily consider outside of Japan first, but you still have to consider there will be other countries having their eyes on it.
Yeah.
And that's how you get mass appeal, and that's how you make a show a success. Now, I'm not saying... I think the idea of putting lots of different cultures would be interesting, but also Japan has a tenuous relationship with race relations. Jinx being a good example.
That's Ganguro.
No, I know that.
That's 100% Ganguro.
I don't know. There's
I don't think that's really a racist thing. That's
maybe Jinx was a bad example.
They want to be Western, so they put lots of makeup on and they speak like Valley Girls.
Again, I think Jinx was maybe a bad example, but I feel like a lot of Japanese media does a really bad job of it. I think you could take oh god, what's his name? I'm thinking of the old Punch Out thing, because that's the old Nintendo, where you've got Vodka Drunkinski or whatever his name is.
Yeah, that one.
And the dude whose name is just Pizza Pasta. It's so bad. I don't know. That's my impression. I don't think Japan's ever been the most progressive in that particular respect, especially as far as other cultures go.
Yeah.
After all, it's the Digi-Destiny Dingo of Australia.
No, that's what we sound like.
It's not, though. Except in that Vine we did. Alright, everyone, join us for the next episode of Stranger Things, Battle of Adventurers.
Or The Adventurers Battle. Key difference there.
I mean, yeah. Actually, that is very different. The difference is that one is the Battle of Adventurers implies that the adventurers are fighting each other, whereas the adventurers' battle implies that all the adventurers have a battle that they fight, probably together.
Good point. For Weekly Wonders, I'm just going to say the Google Cardboard, because you can watch YouTube in VR, and who doesn't want that? There's also like other stuff you can do for it. Like there's like scary stories you can download.
scary.
But I got a bit spooked and I wanted to watch Digimon, so I removed it. It was called Sisters, and it was during a thunderstorm, and like little girls start showing up in the house and little dolls, and I was like, nope, I'm gonna watch Digimon now. So I uninstalled it and took off the headset. So what Google Cardboard is it's like a VR that you put your phone in. It can be any phone as long as it fits in the headset. There are ones made out of cardboard, and they're like a few dollars. Or you can buy like plastic ones. You can buy official ones and unofficial ones. The unofficial ones, they might not work with the official cardboard app because you need to have like a little hole for your camera so you can read certain things. And so you can use like something called an action button. I don't know. I don't have an official one. But that's, if you want like a cheap VR headset, that's probably the way to go if you have a phone that can run games. And if you want to check out a scary game, there's one called Sisters. Just look up Google Cardboard and it's one of the top ones. So yeah. And also you can just straight up watch YouTube in VR, and that's pretty sweet. What about you?
I have been reading, I guess, what am I...
You should be reading Fruits Basket. That's what you should be reading.
I'm not reading Fruits Basket.
I lent it to you.
I was reading the semi-recent Guardians of the Galaxy run, which is nice. I like that the team is pretty similar to the movie, so I had a good jumping on point, even though I'd never read Guardians before. But also Iron Man was there.
Oh, okay.
Which is a bit weird. He's just having like a vacation from Earth. It's really funny. Rocket Raccoon is still great.
Yay.
He has a catchphrase, which I understand why they didn't put in the movie. Do you know what his catchphrase is?
What is it?
He shoots people in the face and goes, "Blam! Murdered you."
Oh, that's cute. I like
He
that.
says it all the time, and it's like occasionally they comment on it, like, "Hey Rocket, can you stop saying that?" He goes, "Why? It's really weird. It's just an Earth thing. Don't worry. You're just being weird. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna keep saying it."
He's Gargomon.
Exactly. Actually, he's a lot like Gargomon.
I still like the headcanon that the Guardians of the Galaxy are just the Avengers playing a tabletop role-playing game.
Yeah, that's cute.
And Bruce is just too busy, so he just says, "I am Groot" every so often.
Yeah,
and
Groot.
then gets Steve to like translate whatever that means, because Steve is Rocket Raccoon, and he just made it to annoy Bucky, who's a DM.
There was that, but there was the better
Yeah.
interpretation, which was like, Bruce Banner would be the best at D&D. He'd be so good, he would come up with interesting characters, because he would have played it when he was in university, because
Yeah.
he's the nerd.
Yeah.
So he would have made Gamora, because she's got an interesting backstory.
In this headcanon, it had Black Widow as Gamora, because she takes so much time. She's like, I'm going to make a strong woman, and she's really strong, and she fights. Tony Stark makes himself.
Yeah, no, Tony Stark, I think that makes sense, but I feel like Black Widow would have ended up with, like, I don't know, she probably would have ended up with Drax.
No, Thor is Drax.
No, Thor is
He doesn't understand.
No,
He
makes
still
sense.
doesn't understand
Metaphors. Drax is... It might be that he has his own miniseries at the same time, so he doesn't show up so much.
No.
Or, like, that particular writer, who's still good, just doesn't do very much with him. He just doesn't say as much, and that isn't quite as interesting. But Gamora's interesting, Iron Man's interaction with him is great, Star-Lord's really funny, and Rocket Raccoon is great.
I love Rocket Raccoon.
And then Rocket Raccoon and Groot have their own little series, and it's fun.
I want Rocket Raccoon and Squirrel Girl to have adventures.
Oh my god, that would be amazing!
Could happen. They're both Marvel, right?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Anyway, so the link dump, which includes our weekly wonders, will be linked in the description. And you can contact us or stay updated with funny posts and stuff involving us. I don't know. You can contact us, email us at lostintranslationmon@gmail.com. You can comment on this episode or message us on SoundCloud. You can also keep updated by following us on @TranslationMon on Twitter and on Vine. And you can find us at Lost in Translationmon on Tumblr, Facebook, and on YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will and a Reddit thread in the Digimon subreddit, which will be linked in the description. And we'd really appreciate it if you were to review us on iTunes or Stitcher or any podcast listening thingy.
It helps us a lot. We'd really appreciate it. So thank you to our Patreon supporters, Stevie, who hosts a podcast with another supporter, Sam Krieger, called the Moncast, which you can find at, which talks about Pokemon and Digimon. Wood Xinglong, who you can find at twitch.tv/Wood Xinglong. Metal Mamemon, Joe, Anime Guy, who you can find at Anime Guy Kurosaki, then the number 1 on YouTube. Chuckmon, Ishwal Bamba, Hiro Olato, who you can find at Hiro Olato on Twitter. Jason Morosky, Frost Miragic, who you can find at Frost Miragic on Twitter. Stephen Reeves, who is at Wildwing64 on Twitter. Kaido Washi, Mac, Nom, and Riku.
And thanks to Lincoln, who sent us a wonderful and generous donation to us, and we really appreciate it, and it means we can try to improve the content that we release, and, you know, it means that we can provide better videos and better quality content, and it's really great, and we really appreciate it, and thank you so much. And also thank you to all our Patreons, of course, as well.
And of course, we put a little bit out of everything away, so eventually we can have our big Lost in Translation on cocaine party.
You can also make a one-off donation on PayPal, which can be found linked in the description. And make sure to let us know it's for the podcast so we know where you're coming from and who you are and stuff like that. So thank you so much for that. And we'll see you guys next week. Well, less than a week because we have to release the next episode early. But it's going to be, you know, the Digimon Tamers, the first movie. So hopefully that works out and hopefully we all enjoy it.
I'm not gonna.
See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.